Odyssey Sports Station.
It's another Gameday Uncensored.
It's been a long, brutally hot summer, but now it's time to play some football. Preseason football. Tonight, the Dolphins face the Falcons at Hard Rock Stadium, where the weather will be as fiery as the Finns' joint practices with Atlanta have been. The big news so far of 2024, Tua's contract. A much talked about off-season story.
I want to thank my teammates. Throughout this process, those guys have been very, very supportive of me and my family throughout that. And as a player, you couldn't ask for more, especially from your guys. So we're looking forward to this year.
Rust will be shaken off tonight. Injury woes to figure out, but that's what we'll do. Time for Game Day. Uncensored, the pregame show for real Miami football fans with Tobin and Solana on AM.
All right, you guys are going up.
WQAM, FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Game Day Uncensored is sponsored by Southern Lexus Dealers. Find your summer getaway at the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event. Get offers on select models through September 3rd. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. When it comes to returning your lease, Ed Morse has your back. Ed Morse Sawgrass Cadillac is your lease return headquarters. Click edmoresawgrasscadillac.com. Ed Morse is a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Game Day Uncensored. Miami Dolphins football kind of back today. Kind of back tonight.
Let's go, Tobin.
Tobin here with you alongside Alejandro Solana. What's up, Solana? How are you feeling, buddy?
Bro, I don't have to watch any more breaking on the Olympics. Are you kidding me? We get to watch a little Skylar Thompson tonight, Tobin. Come on.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if Dan Day feels the same way, but the breaking was getting me today, especially that Australian dancer Rayburn. Raven. Yeah, she broke the internet today, man.
Yeah.
That was something. That was something. But we are back at it, ladies and gentlemen, tonight. Hard Rock Stadium, as you guys are heading on down there and getting ready to tailgate. You will get to see your Miami Dolphins finally get into this season, which feels a lot like redemption, Solana. It feels like this is a year where they have pushed all the chips in the middle of the table. Last year, everything was cruising along. And then there was that GD Monday Night Football game that really derailed everything. It started a bitter end. It ended in the bitter cold. And you were left searching, scrambling, looking for answers. Is Mike McDaniel the guy? Is Tua a franchise quarterback? Is this team tough enough? All of these questions were right there in front of us, Solana, but they all get started to be answered tonight in the first preseason game against the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, we're going to talk about expectations, Tobin, but they're big this year. There's no doubt about it. Based on everything that happened this offseason, based on the way that this organization kind of went all in on their core, right? Their best players. They said, these are the guys that are going to take us to where we haven't been in 24 years. So I know we're going to get to that, but you're right. It kind of does start tonight because I think a lot of what happened last year, Tobin, at the end of the season and why it felt so sour was because a lot of the things Omar Kelly was telling us, which is this Dolphins team doesn't have the most depth. And if there are some major injuries, how are they going to fare late in the season? Well, I think today we kind of are going to get an idea of who those guys at the end of the depth chart are going to be, where break glass in case of emergency, we might have to rely on them just based on precedent as we did last year. So I think there's a lot of, storylines going into today, even though we may probably not see all the starters. Like, some of these guys are going to end up being important just as they were last year.
Yeah, and I think you certainly look to the defensive side of the ball first and foremost, because that's where the most changes have come. There's a ton of newcomers. You got a new sheriff in town. Thank God they got that old hack Fangs out of here. Never wanted him here anyway. He was sitting here stuck in his ways. He sent his ass to cold-ass Philadelphia where he wanted to be in the first place. And they bring in Anthony Weaver, who's got a standing relationship with Mike McDaniel, who, look, I think we all like a lot of what he has built, but this has kind of been one of those things that's been tumultuous in his coaching career. Comes in, he's got Josh Poyer, an inherited defensive coordinator his first year. last year they kind of give him the overlord of the defense where he couldn't really have any input. He couldn't really go to a Jalen Ramsey and say, oh, how do you like being used like you could to a Tyreek Hill? So now he brings in a guy that he has a personable relationship with. And yes, they had a huge loss in having Christian Wilkins go to the Vegas Raiders. But, you know, you're hopeful with bringing in the likes of a Calais Campbell and a Jordan Poyer to add some veteran leadership and savvy. You know, maybe this will be kind of the missing piece. There'll be more, I don't know, solidarity, some more consistency on that side of the football. And they've been talking about it, Solano. They've been talking about a change in mentality on that side of the football. Much could have been seen this week at Dolphins training camp where there were fisticuffs flying left and right between the Dolphins and the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, that's how you know football's back, baby. You got joint practices, helmets coming off, people are throwing hands. Tobin, it's crazy to think of the guys the Dolphins lost on defense this past year, headlined by Christian Wilkins. We know that. But they could end up being better this year with a new defensive coordinator and with some veteran additions. Like when you think about it, like you maybe lost your best defensive player, maybe, and you have the opportunity this year for like serious growth. I know the question marks are there because of the injuries. Like I realize that.
Yeah.
But can we just get something out of the way here? Okay. What happens in August, September, October, November is important. Okay. It matters. There's no doubt about it. But really, December and January is what I care about. And I think most of the fan base is with me. So I'm not saying, hey, nothing matters until then, but nothing matters as much as what happens in December and January. And I'm speaking specifically about the defense. Like if this defense doesn't look great in August, September, and October, I'm willing to bypass it because I want to see them healthy. I want to see everybody that they added this offseason be able to play with the guys we know are studs who just aren't available right now.
Yeah, it's something I don't think it matters, but I definitely think that the fan base is going to be in an arm's reach because I do think that there was such buy-in last year, and all they heard from the national pundits were, we don't know if you guys can hang with the real teams. We don't know if you guys are tough enough. You know, you guys have been eaten up on cupcakes. And it all blew up in their face. It all ended with the nation kind of laughing at the Dolphins. So I don't know that the stuff that happens early doesn't matter, but I definitely agree with the idea that people aren't going to believe it until it's done now. I think that this is a team that they had the trust of the fan base, and I still think that there is belief that they can do big things, but they need to see the big things be done before they allow themselves to have their hearts broken again, like happened at the end of last year. The thing that is going to be interesting with this defensive situation, though, is we have two huge injuries that can't be ignored with two stars of your team in pass rushing with Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb on the men. Now, Jalen Phillips, built like an Adonis, built like a Greek god. He's teasing me every single week with his Instagram videos and his ladder drills and everything that he's got going on.
You like the sled push? You like the little
sled push or anything that he's got going on to show himself. He's even taught me about calf girth this off season, which apparently doesn't come back for a while. So all of that stuff has me excited because I'm like, this guy looks like he is attacking his rehab and like a freak. And like everybody has said, Anthony Weaver's even said, never seen a man his size run that fast. You know, have seen a guy, they were talking about his speeds, like Mike McDaniel sharing his rehab speeds, but they don't put timetables on him. Like that is a big Mike McDaniel thing. I don't put timetables on injuries because sometimes they'll surprise you like a Jalen Ramsey. Sometimes they'll take a little bit longer. You don't know. This is one of the most devastating injuries that anybody has to come back from. But in that whole drama, you've had this situation at pass rush where they bring in a guy in Shaq Barrett. They thought he was going to kind of hold the dam here for a little bit. And he goes, see ya, career over right before. So we get an old friend back in Emmanuel Ogbah. Yeah. We have this guy in Quentin Bell, who people may remember from Hard Knocks last year. He played the Max Crosby role. And then we got some babies in Chop Robinson and Mo Kamara. Hey, let's see if you guys can do anything.
Yeah, but Chop's been he's been impressing, I think, right? Like that's got to be one player. I know we'll get to it later. That one guy that obviously everybody's excited to see, but also has reason to be optimistic for this year. Yeah. I know there's some question marks about him. I realize that, but yeah, you're right. Like the defense is, I think, what we're going to kind of hone in on during all these three preseason games and the rest of the joint practices because of the injuries, because we just don't know Bradley Chubb and JP, and there's such massive parts of this team, right? Like after Tua and Tyreek Hill, you could argue those are the two most important players. I mean, there's other guys we could throw in there, but you could argue those are the two most important players for this Dolphins team. So it's kind of up in the air. Like, how are they going to look even when they do come back, Tobin? Like, how long is JP going to look? I mean, he is a Greek god, and I love the sled push as much as anybody, and you got to tell me more about calf girth when we go to commercial break. But, oh my God, like, how is he going to look? Is it going to take him a couple weeks to get back to form when he is 100%? So, you know, hey, Quentin Bell, make some noise today, bro, because you're going to get this opportunity, and apparently he's made the most of it, but you need guys like him to actually step in today and prove, hey, that wasn't just flash in the pan stuff in camp. I can actually give you solid reps game in and game out until your team is whole.
Absolutely. All right, so Game Day Uncensored, we were taking you up till 7 o'clock and our kickoff. When we come back, of course, the story of training camp and the offseason thus far has been Tua Tagovailoa.
Money.
And that money.
Yeah.
We'll get to a little bit of QB1 Uno because we probably won't see him much today, but this is a monster year ahead for your Miami Dolphins quarterback. Back with more on Game Day Uncensored after this.
All right, you guys are clear.
Live from the Edmore Sawgrass Auto Mall Studios. Shop massive savings on a massive Chevy inventory, all backed by Morse at Edmore Sawgrass Chevrolet. Visit EdmoreSawgrassChevrolet.com. Chevy, find new roads. Dolphins training camp is underway, and we've got full coverage. The good performances, the not-so-good performances, dreaded injuries, player moves, and more. We'll be talking about it all from the only place in South Florida that can do that. Us. AM 560 Sports WQAM, FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Hurricane season is here. Protect your home now with Loctite Impact Windows, Doors, and Roofing with South Florida's largest fleet of 5-star rated service professional. Replace your old roof and windows now with 0 down and 100% financing. Get Impact Windows as low as $3 per window per month installed. Plus, Loctite Pros will handle all the projects from permit to installation as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call now, 954-500-LOCK. That's 954-500-LOCK. Again, 954-500-LOCK.
With the incredibly spacious 3-row Chevy Traverse, you can change
"Let's just meet at the concert"
into
"Why don't I pick all you guys up on the way?"
The advanced safety engineered Chevy Blazer EV lets you turn "You think we should turn back?" into
full steam ahead.
And with the affordable Equinox EV,
"Keep an eye out for the next Charger, kids."
becomes
"Get comfortable, kids. We'll be home in 4 hours."
for summer adventures, Chevy's got you. Chevrolet, together let's drive.
Injured in a crash? You deserve Anajar and Levine. We stand up to the big insurance companies. They want you to settle for a fraction of what your case is worth, but we'll fight to get you the maximum money for your injuries. Experience the Anajar and Levine difference. Call me, Glenn Levine, at 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733 for a free consultation and take back control of your life.
Main office, Fort Lauderdale.
Hey, this is Jason Taylor, and when it comes to banking, I trust Power Financial Credit Union. Why? Because they're not a bank. They're even better. From your everyday banking needs to major life events, Power Financial Credit Union is here for you every step of your financial journey. Discover the difference today. Visit powerfi.org today and use promo code JT to get a $199 bonus when you join.
Federally insured by the NCUA. Membership eligibility required.
This summer, enjoy less doggy paddle and more paddle shifter. Less summer heat and more wind in your hair. Less belly flop and more heart-racing sensations. Find more thrills this summer at the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event. Get offers on our select exhilarating vehicles. But hurry, the opportunity ends September 3rd. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer.
DQ presents Picture this. Picture the DQ $7 bacon cheeseburger meal deal. Not just a cheeseburger, a bacon cheeseburger, plus fries, drink, and a sundae, all full-sized, all for $7. Because everything's better with bacon. Everything's also better with a side of fries, a refreshing drink, and a sundae to finish. Yum. The $7 bacon cheeseburger meal deal. Now for a limited time on the $7 meal deal lineup. DQ. Happy tastes good.
Hey, it's Tiki Barber. Superchargers, headlights, and more. With over 122 million parts, eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Stay on your A game with all the parts you need at the prices you want. It's easy to bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
It's the dog days of summer. Baseball is in full swing. And unfortunately, so is your
Sports WQAM, FM 99.9 HD2, and always live.
All right, unmute, guys. Get ready.
Uncensored, sponsored by Southern Lexus Dealers. Find your summer getaway at the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event. Get offers on select models through September 3rd. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore's Sawgrass Cadillac. When it comes to returning your lease, Edmore's has...
All right, guys, going up.
Sawgrass Cadillac is your lease return headquarters. Click EdmoreSawgrassCadillac.com. Edmore's is a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
Welcome back, everybody. Game Day Uncensored here, 560 WQAM, streaming live on the Odyssey app. That's AUDACY, available in all your app stores. Absolutely free. Tobin here with you alongside Alejandro Solana. Dan Day producing our program here today as we are getting ready for the Dolphins' first preseason game against the Atlanta Falcons. Seems like a tradition every year, Atlanta Falcons. Every year, Atlanta Falcons. First game. Let's go.
Yep.
You know, they couldn't do Jags this year because Jags are week one. Yeah, we got to spice it up a little bit. How about back to the Falcons?
Who are the teams, right? It's the Jags, the Panthers sometimes, Falcons for sure, but Jags,
Bucks.
Falcons, the Bucks. Yeah, every year play the Bucks. Yeah.
You know, so they keep it regional. They keep it regional. They keep it close. But obviously is a year where, we had a couple of joint practices, Mike McDaniel, Raheem Morris, longtime friends. So they trust the environment. We did get a couple of brouhahas over at camp this week. And, a Dolphins offense that reportedly was a little bit shaky and inconsistent, although we did get the patented Tua to Tyreek bomb, which I'm not going to lie, Salon, I cannot wait for immediately to start the season. And thankfully, week one, we got the voice of God. We got Kevin Harlan on the call, so I cannot wait to hear that.
Give me a couple. He's got Hill. Give me a couple of them, Tobin. Give me a couple of them, bro.
But look, man, this was a monster training camp news-wise because we come out the first few days, right? Well, I'll even take you back to minicamp. We go back to minicamp. Tua, he goes in front of the media. He has this whole spiel. The market is the market. We see the likes of Trevor Lawrence getting paid and Jared Goff getting paid and Tua yet to be paid. We get to camp, and then it's like he's there. He's doing some drills. Then one day he's not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
Then one day he does everything. And after like a day, like 4 days of drama, Tua gets his contract. He gets the bag, $212 million over 4 years, with some change, so he gets more money than Jared Goff on paper. And but he's locked in, man. He got what he wanted. He got his market contract. He's got the look of making $50 million plus a year. He has that security he's long been after. Your reaction to the Tua drama this off season and him finally getting his money?
Well, first of all, now, hindsight 2020, it is funny that we overreacted so much to him, I guess, starting camp without the deal. And I was antsy about it, Tobin, because look, I mean, I think I've been very transparent on Game Day Uncensored all of last year. And obviously following what happened towards the end of last season, I do have my doubts about Tua Tagovailoa. That doesn't mean that I'm a Tua hater. It doesn't mean that I don't think he's a very good quarterback. He clearly earned this contract that he has. There's no doubt about it. And now, coming into camp, I was like, well, this is inevitable, right? What are you fighting over? A couple million here and there in guaranteed money? Bottom line is you're going to have to pay him because the best alternative is what? Mike White or Skylar Thompson? No, you're not doing that with this roster. So just pay the dude. But then, as you mentioned, it took a couple days. He practiced in 7-on-7s, wasn't doing 11-on-11s. Then he missed, I think it was Tuesday of camp, just didn't practice but was there. And then Wednesday was back on the practice field, and that's when the deal came through. Yeah, it makes sense, right? Like they had a couple things to hammer out once he was there, and it was clear all the attention was just on that contract. The Dolphins had no choice but to get it done, sit down in a room with Tua and his people and figure it out. And I think the contract he got shouldn't surprise anybody. If you were surprised, you just haven't been paying attention to how the NFL and quarterbacks getting paid works. And now it's time, right? Like, okay, you got your money. Now it's time to go win big games if you're Tua Tagovailoa.
I think it showed a couple of things. I think it showed, yes, that he did earn it. I mean, led the league in passing last year. He's certainly not a quarterback without his flaws and imperfections. I feel like when you have everybody having a light on Patrick Mahomes, I mean, it shows the warts of every other quarterback because we're all just wishing that you could have what they have. I mean, right. It's not really fair. But I do think that it showed a couple of interesting things. One, I think it showed that the coach really does believe in Tua, as has really kind of been the story of a career. He got the job because as basically a plan B to fix this kid, and he did. But I also think it showed that Mike McDaniel's got a little bit of pull in the organization. And this was Tua earlier, and he said he knows that Mike McDaniel, this was the Sunday. I was actually at this press conference, Solana. This was the lone practice I've gotten to go out to. Luckily enough, turned out to be the day that Tua comes out to the crowd. He says, "Show me the money," as Darrell Bevel bet him he wouldn't do it. But he, it was a cool moment. He's there. He's got his family. He's got his babies. And, a very fun thing. But Mike McDaniel's in the room, and he says, yeah, I know. He goes, I know that he doesn't know that I know, but I know that Mike McDaniel went to bat for me. Here's the Dolphins quarterback on Mike McDaniel.
Well, I think it says a lot. Word gets around quick, and I don't think he knows that I know. But I've been told from several birdies that are, here in the facility that are upstairs as well, that he went to bat for me the day that I went out and practiced 11-on-11, 7-on-7 before we went on that little break, that he went to bat for me with, our owner. And, I won't go into details of things that I heard were said, but just know like he is what he says. He says what he told me, and he did what I was thinking he would do for me, and not just for me, but for any other player, so I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, for me, that was a huge thing because it shows like Mike McDaniel, if he's not going to back him, who's going to back him? I mean, this is the guy, this is his QB1. He's cut up the highlight reels. He's told the stories. He said that he runs the offense the way that he is. So hearing that from Tua, that he knows that the coach went to bat for him, it shows that Mike McDaniel, this is truly his guy, and that if he is going to do elite things in this organization, he's going to do it with this quarterback running his system.
It is funny though, right, Tobin? Because we're in a situation now where you feel like at all levels of the organization, all these guys are tied to each other. I mean, this is who the Dolphins are banking on, not just because they paid them, but this is who they're banking on to go get to that next level, to go win that playoff game, to go do what every regime prior to them, since Dan Marino retired or Jay Fiedler was a quarterback, has been unable to do. Like from Chris Greer, in my opinion, down. Chris Greer drafted Tua Tagovailoa. When you go back to 2019 and they do that quote unquote tank, allegedly, and they draft Tua.
I don't think we have to say allegedly. I think we
anymore.
know what they were doing. Yeah, we know what they were doing, dude.
And you have 3 first-round picks that year. I mean, at some point, you have to show progress from that type of situation, and it didn't come immediately, but you had your quarterback, right? You felt like, okay, that's the guy you drafted, and then you went out, as you said, you got Mike McDaniel to turn things around, and you finally have started to taste some sort of success that was built off of that rebuild. These guys are all tied into each other, Tobin. It's just the reality. So, in my opinion, and it doesn't surprise me that Mike McDaniel, who came in and was able to have really good numbers in the area that we expected him to, he did it with Tua Tagovailoa. It doesn't surprise me that he was in that room chirping to get Tua his money.
Yeah, listen, Mike McDaniel just seems like a real one. I think that's why all of his players go to bat for him. But I don't necessarily know that they were all tied to Salon, because, like, we have an owner who has multiple times flirted with the idea of going to get Tom Brady. One time got busted for tampering for it. Kicked the tires on going and getting Deshaun Watson, all while Tua was his quarterback. So I don't know where Stephen Ross's faith was, but if anybody was going to have to, and Chris Real kind of feels Teflon, like he's been through so many regimes. Like, so I do think it was going to take Mike McDaniel pounded on the table to have his guy get paid for it to actually happen.
To me, though, I wasn't even talking about Stephen Ross. I'm with you. If there was anybody that we could speculate was kind of, squirreling a little bit on this deal or getting Tua paid as much as he got, to me, it would be Stephen Ross based on what you just said. We know that there are several different instances where, he's been kind of cool with doing something else. I'm talking strictly Chris Grier, Mike McDaniel, and now Tua Tagovailoa. Like, this season, maybe next season, this 2-year window, their careers in Miami, their futures in Miami depend on the success of how this team fares. And you have to go win a playoff game. If not, people are going to question, can Chris Grier genuinely run an NFL organization? People are going to question, this is the guy Mike McDaniel bought into as his starting quarterback, despite having opportunities as an out. They're going to question whether or not he has good judgment as a head coach. And if Tua doesn't get it done now, people are going to question, well, is he really a starting quarterback in this NFL, in this league, who can go win you important games?
Well, I think, yeah. And then, like, this is, and I say this as somebody who's been a Tua guy, even in the face of, I know a lot of people have doubted. And I understand why people have some doubts on either signature performances or just the durability and the questions of the concussions. But I do think that, mentally, the guy has shown a lot of fortitude to know all the stuff that he has had to go through and battle through physically, mentally, emotionally. So I am happy to see him get to this destination that he is now set for, not only his life, but his kid's life, his kid's life. So that's just a really cool story that you can get behind. But yeah, now all the excuses are out the window, dude. Like, you put the message out there at minicamp, I can't separate business and personal. Okay, well, the business and personal, they're out the window. Now go win some football games late in the season. Like, that, all excuses. The biggest Tua homers out there. I could sit here with my Uno jersey on, and I could sit here, just cheerleading him up and down. But this is a sign of faith from the organization and the coach. So it's all there for him now. Thankfully, Tua did give some mention to this. He did say the only accomplishment now that matters is them winning big games.
Well, we haven't won the games that we wanted to win. Deep into the playoffs, get deep into the playoffs. Win the games that matter. That's what I would say. All of that is cool, but I could have been the worst, had the worst passer rating. I could have, threw for 1,000 yards. But if we were in those games and we were winning those big time games and we got to go and win the championship, I mean, I'd trade all of that. I'd trade all of that for that.
Oh, it's kind of goosies.
Yeah. Saying the right things, as he does. And by the way, I believe him when he says that. There's a couple other guys who tell you, hey, I'm all about winning. I don't care about anything else. I'm all about winning. But then, they don't really care about winning. They just want to go get paid. I believe it with Tua. Like, I mean, he deserves what he got, and he should get what he got. But I genuinely believe, like, he doesn't care if he has to make sacrifices to his stats to be able to win football games. Like, he just wants to win football games.
I do like the stats though. Like, I do like the big stats. I don't
Well,
want
yeah,
them to go
because
away.
you're kind of a stat whore, and you
I
want
am
70 points.
I'm a
and,
greedy fantasy pig. Like, I like the 70 points. I like putting up the big offense. That's fun. It's fun. I mean, it's okay to just admit it. Like, him throwing bombs to Tyreek and Jalen Waddle is like football cocaine. I can't help it.
You know what I like though? People not being able to say the last time the Dolphins won a playoff game, you were 5 years old. And,
I understand.
That stings. That stings personally, Tobin.
I understand. It's been way too long. It's when the Lions are getting knocked off lists, and you don't have the Lion umbrella anymore to guard you from the ugly light of that streak. It's an ugly streak, and they've certainly obsessed plenty about it. We'll hear some of that in the lead up to this game and whatnot, but. It is good that this drama is behind it, because it did feel like a giant, it could have been a giant anvil hanging over training camp, and the Dolphins did get it out of the way. And hopefully now it can all be about them going out and doing something that they haven't done in a quarter century.
Now, you're right, by the way. Like, I kind of glossed over it. I'm glad you didn't. The fact that this guy had a head coach, right, that clearly did not believe in him, in Brian Flores. I mean, it was clear as day. There were plenty of rumors of said coach trying to trade him and bring in another quarterback. Then they go out, they get Mike McDaniel. For him to go through the injury issues that he had already gone through, and then have that first concussion on Thursday Night Football and be the biggest story in the NFL. People saying that he shouldn't play football, and him admitting that he thought, hey, I might never play football again. To then come back and go through that again. Tobin, for him to get to this level, you're right. It's not something we should gloss over, because it is a big deal. Like, he has overcome mountains of adversity to now be a top 5 paid quarterback in the NFL. It is at this moment that we can sit back and acknowledge it and tip our cap to him, because come December, like, we're just not going to want to have that conversation anymore.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. All that stuff and all the storylines for that is over with. When we come back on Game Day Uncensored, look, Tua's not going to play today. I don't know what to tell you guys. Mike McDaniel, he basically said it. He wouldn't say it, but he basically said it. So it's gonna be the Mike White and Skyler show today. But
percentage chance Tua plays today. You're putting it 0.
I'm going to go unless. Well, I guess I can't say 0. I'm going to put it at 0.5%. In the case of Mike White and Skylar Thompson were kidnapped.
Okay.
By football cartel. Other than that, Tua's playing today. And even then, I think they may say, like, hey, River Craycraft, go play Wildcat. Like, they may say that. But the rookies are going to be fun. I think this is a fun rookie class. I think there's a lot of guys here we can get excited about. We'll hear a little bit about the rookies. Dolphins, Mike McDaniel finally having a first-round pick under his belt. Chop Robinson, we'll get a look at him today at Hard Rock Stadium. Game Day Uncensored as we roll on until the 7 o'clock kickoff today. Miami Dolphins, Atlanta Falcons, preseason game number 1. Back with more after this.
Clear.
Hurricane season. Keep it on.
Have you downloaded the free Odyssey app and made WQAM your favorite station? Do it. Listen to us live or on demand and use the rewind feature to go back and listen to any part of any shows you might have missed.
Now, let's get back to Game Day Uncensored on AM 560 Sports, WQAM, FM 99.9.
All right, we're all set with the sound. I'll just follow your lead.
The C app.
Game Day Uncensored is sponsored by Southern Lexus Dealers. Find your summer getaway at the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event. Get offers on select models through September 3rd. Also,
Going up.
the app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. When it comes to returning your lease, Edmore's has your back. Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac is your lease return headquarters. Click EdmoreSawgrassCadillac.com. Edmore's is a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
Welcome back, everybody. It is Game Day Uncensored here, 560 WQAM. Tobin here with you alongside Alejandro Solana. Dan Day running things for us back at headquarters today as we are getting ready for the Dolphins' first preseason game here this summer, taking on the Atlanta Falcons at Hard Rock Stadium. We were talking about this, Solana, before on the show, myself and Leroy. Do you feel like for tailgaters, do you take a step back for the preseason games as far as like you don't go pull out all the stops? They'll still be tailgating, don't get me wrong, but you don't bring your A game for a preseason game, or is it when it's Friday, it's time to party, we get after it?
No, you definitely don't bring the A game, especially on a Friday night. And I hate to break it to South Florida. Maybe you're still at work and you haven't gotten in your car and started driving there. It's raining today, brother. Like if you're tailgating today, I hope you brought the extra tent because it's gonna rain today, Tobin. It just is. I've been doing a little scouting report on the weather app, and the weather isn't gonna be great. However, Tobin, I will say you still bring out the grill. You still obviously you got the cooler, you got the brewskis, you're ready to go there. But like you don't spend the extra $50 on Amazon getting like the Dolphins table gear, like the big Dolphins decorations. Like you don't go that far, but you still bring out the burgers, the cheese, you got the spread, and you bring out your high noons and your Bud Lights or Budweisers or whatever the hell you're drinking.
High noons at a tailgate?
Yeah, I'm a
chilling by the pool. Like, what are you doing, dude?
Just give me a couple nooners.
Give me let's get to some keys to the game here, brought to you by Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. When it comes to returning your lease, Edmore's has your back. Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac is your lease return headquarters. Click EdmoreSawgrassCadillac.com. Edmore's is a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins. So this is going to be a fun one, Solana, I think, because this is a bit of a rookie showcase. First off, we have our first round pick under the Mike McDaniel era, Chop Robinson, who I think everybody's pretty excited about seeing. His measurables off the charts. I've already got an order in. I'm gonna get an orange flannel for the season with an aqua cap. I'm going to start a lumberjack crew for Chop Robinson. His even though I know it comes from Pork Chop, but he does the axe celebration, which I'm really excited about. I don't know if we can bring axes into the stadium. That's a little too dangerous. But in my own living room, I think we could do it. I'm not going to Jack Del Rio it and cut any punter's foot off.
Maybe we can get something going here, like plastic chop axes into the stadium. Maybe like you might be able to start something here, Tobin.
I don't know. I think we could at least get people in our orange flannels. We could get that going. And I feel like Zach Sealer would approve because he's a man's man. And I think that I think we can get something going here for Chop Robinson. But this is a draft class. Chop Robinson picked in the first round. Patrick Paul, tackle out of Houston in the second round. Fourth round, you had Jalen Wright. Everybody seems to be really excited what he's going to add to the backfield. Muhammad Kamara, pass rusher from Colorado State, who put up monster stats, but isn't necessarily the measurables guy that a Chop Robinson is. And then you have Malik Washington, who I think everybody's very excited about, out of Virginia. Taj Washington out of USC. He's on IR. That kind of sucks because I was talking to Lincoln Riley at the Big Ten Media Weekend. He was like, oh, this is my favorite player ever. And then it's been taken away from me like a kid on Christmas. I don't see like we're going to see him. But Malik Washington apparently has been having a great camp.
I was about to say, at least you get to see a little Malik Washington today, because I think, we're looking for guys who we want to see impress. Obviously, Chop Robinson is one of them. but like the hype around Malik Washington during training camp, we're looking for other guys too who can throw the ball to, Tobin. And it's possible that this is just off-season hype, but it's also possible he could be like a really under-the-radar rookie who has big numbers this year.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the guy seems to have like incredible hands, catches everything, toughness to him. And I think the offense could use a little bit of that. Now, it's always tough with the receivers because we've seen some monster performances. I think of Derek Hagan years back. I think of Eric Ezukama just a couple of years back.
Yeah.
I mean, Eric Ezukama and Skylar Thompson, that was like Montana Rice preseason 2 years ago. It was incredible. It really was. It was a performance in a duo for the ages in preseason. So I don't know what to believe or what's real, but I'm going to be excited either way.
Even like Preston Williams, I was talking about him the other day. I mean, I thought we had the next Randy Moss. Like, I genuinely thought we had through 2 weeks of Dolphins games, even though the Dolphins are getting their faces beat in by their opponents. I'm like, doesn't matter. Hey, rebuild's done. We found the next Randy Moss. Yeah, not exactly.
No, not exactly. But here is the new Dolphins defensive coordinator, Anthony Weaver. He says his first impressions of Chop Robinson, as good as advertised.
As advertised, right? He's still a young player, still trying to learn some of the finer techniques and fundamentals of the game. But you see his athleticism and his skill set. And what I love most about the kid is just his intent when he comes to work. He's quiet, right? He's not one of those rookies that are out talking all this stuff and then not backing up on the field. You can see him just contemplating every single thing that's being given to him and trying to see what bits and pieces he can take from people to use with his game.
Not gonna lie though, Solana, when I read this week on the great reporters who cover the team, I was reading on their Twitter accounts that Chop Robinson was in the middle of chaos this week.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed that. I'm just like, good. This kid's about it. He's gonna be in the middle. He is scared of nothing. He's gonna be thrown in the fire right away. You're looking for this kid because of the injuries to Chubb and to Phillips. What can this kid give right away? And it's not an easy position to do that at.
Well, I mean, look, first round picks, you're kind of hoping will make big impacts right away anyways. He kind of comes in with that leeway of, hey, you're a luxury for our team. When our guys are healthy, you're a massive luxury for our team. We're kind of looking at you to, in the future, a couple of years from now, be somebody who needs to have the production of a first round pick. But Tobin, I mean, if he's just going to be a third down guy, right? Like coming in on third downs, I think we would all be a little bit disappointed based on, one, where we selected him, and two, his production during training camp thus far. So at this point, I don't know about you, but I'm kind of hoping he'll be an every down guy until JP or Bradley Chubb are healthy.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's going to be times where I'm sure he gets embarrassed by somebody because for whatever reason, like he just gets vetted. It just happens. Like he'll get stuck in somebody. This happens to the best of them. I mean, like even I remember Jake Long's rookie year. Was it Mario Williams? I feel like, or it was like he just got completely embarrassed his first game, and then obviously when he was healthy, he was an all-time great. It happens. It happens to the best of these rookies. But Chop Robinson echoing a little bit of what Anthony Weaver says, and here is Chop saying that he hasn't done a lot of talking. He's just trying to keep his mouth shut and do a lot of learning in this camp.
It's been good. I've been getting information from the vets. I've been getting information from the coaches, just all the guys in the room, all the guys on the team. I just been picking brains and just learning every day. I just keep my mouth quiet and just learn. That's it.
Getting right to it. Take all that knowledge in. And that is, I guess, the good thing is when you have these guys, I mean, I'd much rather than be on the field, but if, Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb are there, like, all right, you have guys to learn on and lean on to give you a lot of information, because what else the hell are they doing at practice?
Yeah, well, I mean, JP is taking off his shirt and, keeping you excited.
As he should.
No, but you're right. And look, let's not forget the Dolphins did sign a bunch of veterans as well. Like this is a really good group, in my opinion, to learn from. I know it is, has that question mark because you have a new offensive coordinator. But like Anthony Weaver has been around, Tobin, and this isn't, his first walk in the park. So, hey, if you're Chop, like try to be a sponge, try to literally just gain as much as you possibly can from getting these reps, because man, as I just said, there's going to be a lot asked from you first couple weeks of the season, whether he likes it or not, or whether we like it or not. It's just the reality.
Well, and you talk about that leadership, like a guy like Calais Campbell, who, is more of he's going to be on the defensive line. He's a 6'8" monster. There's not maybe a lot of guys that you can physically relate to with him, but he will move all over the place. And he has been a guy that's good at getting after the quarterback, even at his age. He knows all the techniques. He's seen it all. He's been all, and he's really taken that leadership mantle. So again, I think all the resources are there for Chop Robinson. And it'd be fun to see if we could get something out of him here today. I think that would probably delight the fans more than anything, because on offense, it's going to be tough to know with QB1 being down. Still could be a showcase though. Like Jalen Wright's going to be out there, maybe getting some carries. And we saw last year. Last year was a little bit of a weird preseason because it was kind of the Savon Ahmed show, like out of nowhere. Chris Brooks had a good preseason too, and we got to see that physicality that he brings. But this is a running back room where we know, okay, our two top of the heap guys are Raheem Mostert and Devon Achane, but who are going to be those next guys in what's a little bit of a crowded room?
It's funny though, right? Because if you remember last year, Savon Ahmed, by I think everybody was done. Yeah. Like, hey, great stuff over the past couple years. Respect. Hopefully you land somewhere else, but sorry, we're kind of excited about other guys. And then all of a sudden, Savon Ahmed is tearing it up. And I don't think anybody had an issue with the Dolphins keeping him on the 53. He ended up actually needing to be on the 53 because of the injuries to Devon Achane. So, who is it going to be this year? Who is it going to be from game one where you say, wow, that dude needs to be on the 53 based on what he's showing you over these preseason games?
Yeah, it's an interesting one too, because you got to feel for like a guy like Jeff Wilson. I remember the day I was at a practice for this. He was his orange jersey day, and he had a really good day too. And Jeff Wilson is like, he's a Mike McDaniel OG. Like, this guy knows Mike McDaniel, loves Mike McDaniel, speaks Mike McDaniel to the heavens. Mike McDaniel scouted him. But you have to wonder, like, for Jeff Wilson, like, are his days with the Miami Dolphins numbered, or is he just too valuable in knowing it? Is he too different because he is a gritty runner where the other guys are all speed runners? He brings that dog to the running back room.
Right.
Is he fighting for a job in this preseason, even with all of his experience? And then you have a Chris Brooks who got banged up at the end of last year. We all saw the stiff arm from hell that he was able to put out. Plays, we love that intensity that he brings. And then Jalen Wright, everybody's excited about because more speed, but maybe in a bigger package is like, so there is a lot of intrigue, I think, in that running game and some actual jobs that could be on the line in these games.
Yeah, guys, we like Chris Brooks and Jeff Wilson. I could be wrong, but I can't imagine both of those guys making the 53. I just can't, just based on the fact that they kind of serve the same purpose. And now you have Jalen Wright. Hey, Tobin, maybe it's not the right way to approach things, but sometimes excitement takes over. And the excitement, obviously, of Mostert and Devon Achane, considering what they did last year, and now Jalen Wright, everything we've heard about him and his skill set, those guys are making the team, bro. So if you're one of these other guys, you kind of got to flash in these opportunities.
We'll get to some of the newcomers coming up at the top of next hour, as the Dolphins did make and have brought in plenty of new faces, not just rookies. But before we do that, Solano, how excited are you simply for a cornerback going by the name of Storm Duck?
My favorite part is David Furones from the Sun Sentinel. I don't know if he created this on AI or Chat GPT.
I see that.
But he found a duck, a fierce duck, with just like a storm, like a thunderstorm behind it. And every time Storm Duck is near the football, David Furones is tweeting it out. So that's kind of like, it's the Storm Duck alert. So I'm all in. Give me the Chop Robinsons. Oronde Gadsden's calling him pork chop on our show. Ridiculous, but I've already fallen in love with that. And give me Storm Duck, baby. I want as many interesting names as I can possibly get.
I love that, man. Storm. I don't know how the hell that happened, but that's a great name, Storm Duck. All right, Game Day Uncensored rolls on. After this, we will get into some of the Dolphins newcomers and who was going to have the biggest impact on this Dolphins roster. More Game Day Uncensored. Tobin, Solana, Dende with you here, taking you all the way up until preseason game number 1 against the Atlanta Falcons, which gets going at 7 o'clock from Hard Rock Stadium. Back with more after this.
Clear.
QAM on the Kendall Toyota text line at 305-567-0560. Kendall Toyota, all time in the 305 and home of the Kendall Toyota best price 366 days of savings. All at Kendall. Call 305-KENDALL and text
tonight as the Dolphins open up their preseason with a game against the Falcons. Regulars will most likely not play, but others will be looking to make the team on both sides, making for a vigorously played game in Miami Gardens. It might be way too early to prognosticate, but Tyreek Hill says there is a tangible goal.
But as a team goal, and what I want, like for this whole team, man, is just to win. Is just win a playoff game. That's step one for all of us, man. I think that's something that we all can build on. Moving forward. Going deeper into the playoffs, and that's something that we can live with forever because it hasn't been done in 23, 24 years. And for us to be able to do something special like that with this team, we can look back on it 50 years from now when we all come back and say, man, we had a great team, man, back in 2024, man.
It's still summer, and a hot one it's been. But football is back. Preseason game number 1 at Hard Rock Stadium. Game Day, Uncensored. The pregame show for real Miami football fans with Tobin and Solana on AM 560 Sports, WQAM, FM 99.9, HD2, and
Going up.
Free Odyssey app.
Game Day Uncensored is sponsored by Southern Lexus Dealers. Find your summer getaway at the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event. Get offers on select models through September 3rd. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. When it comes to returning your lease, Edmore's has your back. Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac is your lease return headquarters. Click EdmoreSawgrassCadillac.com. Edmore's is a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
Welcome back, everybody. It is Game Day, Uncensored, Hour 2. Getting you ready for preseason game number 1. Tobin here with you alongside Alejandro Solana, Dan Day, keeping us sounding good here today as we get you ready for Dolphins, Falcons, Hard Rock Stadium. And you know what, Solana, that football voice that we bring back, for the Game Day Uncensored, he can make even an exhibition sound good because he's just like, people may not play, but football. I'm like, you got me, dude. You
football. Come on, Tobin.
He just hooked me in there. All he had to do was put on his football voice, and you got me, you rascal. I'm in for some football.
You wouldn't know it's preseason. I mean, whatever. Tua may play, may not play. Who cares? We got big boys back, baby.
I know. We got the big boys back. We got football things happening. It's exciting, man. It just feels like comfort. It just warms you to the core that we're like, it's almost here because Sundays are a ritual. You get out there and you get excited to be there on your couch and you watch the game or in the stands and you're with your friends and you unite. It's just look, there's a reason it's taken over as the American sport. There's a reason.
There's a reason we're doing a 4-hour pregame show for preseason game number 1.
Yeah.
Because it's mother bleeping football, baby.
Yeah.
It's back. It's back.
Oh, man. So this is a Dolphins team. So a lot of newcomers. We got Calais Campbell. We got a defense that brought in Jordan Brooks from Seattle. We got some new linebackers. Jerome Baker, no longer a Dolphin. That's crazy. Jordan Poyer, a foe from Buffalo. Though he's been missing a lot of practice lately.
With a challenge to his team, by the way, right? With some harsh words to his team during training camp as well.
Yep, we got a new cornerback in Kendall Fuller. Xavier Howard's no longer here. Got a new defensive coordinator. We got Benito Jones, Tier Tart to try and fill the big shoes of Christian Wilkins. You got Anthony Walker, hometown story coming back in here. Is there a defensive player you are most excited for, Solana? New side of the ball that they have brought in that you're like, I cannot wait. I'm so glad this guy is a mother bleeping Miami Dolphin.
So I want to say Tier Tart just because, FIU Panther, Tobin. Paul's up, obviously. Pitbull Stadium, ton of hype around there. But how can I not say Calais Campbell? Right? Like, I don't know. I think that's the guy we should all be most excited for. His comments the other day, he took less money, significantly less money, told the Levitard show to be in Miami. He wants to come back home. He wants to win a Super Bowl here. He felt like this was one of the better opportunities to go and win a Super Bowl. And look, I'm not going to lie, Tobin, when the news came across the wire that Calais Campbell had signed in Miami, the first thing I did was I looked at his age because I watched too much Falcons football last year. I don't know about you. wasn't exactly tuned in to the Atlanta Falcons. And I looked at his age and I said, all right, this is cool, but what is it going to do for this team? And then you dive a little deeper and you read some Twitter threads and you realize Calais Campbell was a dog last year. At the age that he's at, he was a dog. Started every single game last year for the Atlanta Falcons. And if you can get that guy this year, considering the amount of injuries you have on the defensive line, if you can get that veteran presence and somebody who is able to clog up so much and just be a force down there, to me, I mean, I know Jordan Poyer deserves some recognition. There's a lot of guys that do, especially in the secondary, but to me, it's Calais Campbell.
Yeah, I agree with you. And here is a little bit of Calais. This is him speaking on the defense and really giving a nod to his new best friend, because we know that Zach Sieler was best friends with Christian Wilkins, and they were an adorable, menacing tandem. But now Zach Sieler's got a new best friend. It's Calais Campbell.
And that's what we've been working on, every day. This defense that we're in, is built on stopping the run, and then creating pressure through different blitzes and different things. And then, I think we've been a D-line, at heart playing D-line for all his career. He lets us rush forward a little bit so we can get a little more opportunity to hit the quarterback. But this defense is I think is special. We got Zach Sieler leading the way. And up front, he just sets the tone, and we all kind of follow suit, and we go out there and we ball.
That was cool for me, man, because it is interesting. Like, it felt last year like Christian Wilkins was the engine. I mean, when you play at his size and you have the amount of tackles that he does, yeah, it's a tough loss, and everybody's rightfully so. I think look at this offense, like, how do you recover from that? How do you lose a player of that caliber for nothing? And how do you bounce back? But man, Zach Sieler is no slouch in his own right. And I think that if he can carry the mantle for everybody and be that leader, and aside him now have, the reinforcements of a Calais Campbell with Tart or Benito Jones or whomever they're putting in there to rotate in. I think Anthony Weaver's made that clear that they're going to be doing a lot more rotations than they did last year, where it's pretty crazy the pace that Wilkins and Sieler played at, with being in there all the damn time with really no margin for error of them being able to be lost. And if they were, they would have been sunk even more.
And I know a lot of Dolphins fans are, I think I speak for both of us, Tobin. We were disappointed to see Christian Wilkins go. There's no doubt about it. I think the question now, we all love Zach Sieler, and the Dolphins kind of got him on a bargain considering what his role is going to be this year, paying him last year. How much was Zach Sieler and Christian Wilkins, that tandem, great together? Or how much was it Christian Wilkins making Zach Sieler look good? And I'm not saying that was the case, but I think, that is a fair question, because we didn't see Zach Sieler play alongside somebody who wasn't as great as Christian Wilkins. But the fact that now he does get the opportunity, to have some of these veteran guys next to him, we're going to find out just how good is Zach Sieler,
Yeah.
And I think that's that's also a good position for him to be in. Last year, Christian Wilkins bet on himself. He didn't get paid. He came out and he proved, like, I'm that dude. I deserve what I ended up getting in Las Vegas. And to me, this is kind of a season where Zach Sieler can say, hey, Wilk was great, man. Like, we were great together, but I can be that dude as well.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, there's no way we could put any kind of good pains on this. Like, you lost one of your best players, and you're putting a lot of chips on an old guy who is great. He may go to the Hall of Fame one day, and I love him, and I would never say anything but loving things to a former Cane. He is the best. I love Calais Campbell, but he is 37. Yeah. And you add that on top of the fact that you have some guys who are, not exactly living up to their potential, and hope that they can play with a motor that Christian Wilkins just always had. And I think the one difference between Wilkins and Sieler is, man, Sealer's a mauler. He can plug up those holes. He can get in the backfield and certain, but like, if he's not there, like, the chase down, the pursuit, if it's not first there, is not going to be like Christian is. They're just the difference between the both of them as players, but he's still a menace. I still think Zach Sieler is going to have a very productive year. And I think that he is capable of showing that leadership, because I think that confidence has just been there. This is the guy who was living in a damn RV, like, so, and has gone to great riches. Plus, we forgot dad strength now. He's a Papa Bear.
That's
He's
right.
a Papa Bear. He's got that going for him.
Yeah.
On the offensive side, this was an off-season. You continue. Pause up. Jonnu Smith, you're bringing in some skill to the tight end room.
Yes, sir.
Aaron Brewer, new center to take over for Connor Williams, who just signed with the Seattle Seahawks. They just brought on Willie Snead. But the big splash, Odell Beckham Jr., who we have yet to see out on the Dolphins practice field. But this was definitely, I think, the one that everybody looked at and said, okay, is this going to bring something different to the Dolphins offense? Or is this just a lot of, pass star and flash, and maybe it's more headline worthy than it is actual production?
Yeah, and what if it's somewhere in between? I think everybody would be happy with that, Tobin. I truthfully do. I'm not expecting Odell Beckham Jr. from the New York Giants from 8-9 years ago, who was making one-handed grabs like we had never seen before. I'm obviously not expecting that. But you look at what he was able to provide last year with the Baltimore Ravens, after dealing with a plethora of injuries, most notably the torn ACL again in the Super Bowl with the Rams. Like, he was productive. Was he a Pro Bowler? No. Was he a wide receiver 1 last year with Baltimore? No. But he showed that he can be productive, especially down the field. And to me, like, the Dolphins offense is so predicated, especially with the offensive line questions this year. I think we're going to see it again early on, getting the ball out quicker. But I think, we're going to see more of an onus from Tua and Mike McDaniel to try to extend plays a little bit. And to me, that's where Odell Beckham comes in. Like, Tyreek and Jalen Waddle on each side. If Odell can give you 13 to 14 games, Tobin, and hopefully more, but if he can give you 13 to 14 games and be productive, right? I think you love that. You'll take that. You don't need to see the guy who was one of the best wide receivers in the NFL 8 years ago. You just don't. Like, we have those guys already.
Yeah, I do think that the thing that I like about bringing him in, it's not even it's not even in between the 20s. Like, I think that this is a team that does need some more options when they get down to that red zone, and I think that I'm hopeful that Odell can add something there. I think Jonnu Smith, this was a team that did not throw a touchdown to a tight end last year. You saw, I remember the one practice I went to, like, they're using Jonnu Smith in the backfield. They're using him all over the place. He's excited about getting the ball in his hands. So I'm hopeful this kind of diversifies things, especially when they're in range to score touchdowns. They obviously had, as a running game, have some of the more prolific scorers in Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert. But dude, that fade to Tyreek Hill worked one time. It was week 1. Like, I need to have a little bit more of the well to go to. Here is Odell Beckham. This was him on the reason that he signed here. And he said, Mike McDaniel, big reason for that.
I kind of just in a place in my life where it's always been like this, but truly just leaning on, God and what he's putting in front of me. And this opportunity was the main one that kept being, put in front of my face. I remember somebody asked me a few years ago if I would ever be or play for the Dolphins, and I kind of, shrugged it off that it wasn't really an idea. And, obviously I have a couple of guys I know down here. My brother Duke Riley won a championship with Jalen. But Coach Mike definitely is someone who he sold it to me because it's just his energy. It's just we speak the same language. We was talking the conversations we had about football, and just the opportunity that I said, like, is presenting itself. And God put it in front of me, and that's kind of just where I went and rolled with it.
Oh, that's Goosey's right there, dude.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That Mike McDaniel's a player's coach. He can sell, like, the fact that, and this is the thing, like, that's the thing you love about Mike McDaniel. Yeah, there are still some game adjustment things the guy's got to get better at, and we'll get into that a little bit later on in today's program. But as far as a guy people are very pumped up to play for, and being a guy who really does respect stars, like, this is a guy who treats his stars well. Some maybe even gives them too much of a break sometimes when it comes to camp, but he knows where his bread is buttered when it comes to his roster.
Hey, Tobin, look, I'm not speaking out of turn here. I don't think I am when I say that sounded like Mike McDaniel has cachet with guys around the league who are, at one point maybe superstars and are trying to kind of re-spark their career a little bit. And to me, like, we always think of Pat Riley, right? He dropped the rings on the table with LeBron. And I'm not putting these two circumstances
careful.
right, because it's LeBron and Odell Beckham. But, you always felt comfortable with Pat Riley and Andy Ellisberg going to the negotiating table, and to hear that Mike McDaniel has some of that in him, right? He has a little cachet in his back pocket where he can sit down with a guy like Odell and say, hey, you can be the perfect piece to the missing puzzle here in Miami, and I can maximize what you have left in your career.
Yeah, and I think that this was a negotiation that had a little bit of a standoff too, so it did feel like it took some convincing to get it over the finish line. So the fact that he's been able to do that, I think, yeah, is definitely a feather in Mike McDaniel's cap. We'll take a quick break here on Game Day Uncensored. We roll on. We'll look at who's got a lot on the line tonight. Preseason game number 1. Who's playing for jobs? Back with more after this.
Clear.
Yeah, broadcasting live from the Ed Moore Sagra
AM 560 Sports, WQAM, FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Gameday Uncensored is sponsored by Southern Lexus Dealers. Find your summer getaway at the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event. Get offers on select models through September.
Going up.
Sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. When it comes to returning your lease, Edmore's has your back. Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac is your lease return headquarters. Click EdmoreSawgrassCadillac.com. Edmore's is a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
Welcome back, everybody. It is Game Day Uncensored here. Tobin, Solana, getting you ready for preseason game number 1. Miami Dolphins taking on the Atlanta Falcons after a couple of joint practices this week. The two teams will now square off in a preseason matchup, and we'll see who has the most on the line tonight. Let us get to our players to watch, which is brought to you by your Southern Lexus dealers. Find your summer getaway at Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event. Get offers on select models through September 3rd. There are a couple of guys you think have the most on the line tonight, Solana. We have, I think there are going to be opportunities out there with, I'd imagine Tyreek Hill's not going to play. And imagine Jalen Waddle's been banged up a little bit this week's not going to play. So, I mean, you got to look at those receivers. I don't think Raheem Mostert's going to play. I don't think that Devon Achane. I don't know about Devon Achane. I don't think Devon Achane's going to play. I mean, it is only his second year. Maybe he'll play. But there are a couple of guys that you're keyed in on who you think will need or will have big games today.
So for betting purposes or for making the team purposes, what are we getting into here? Are we gallivanting?
Let's go making the team first, and then let's get to the important thing, the gambling.
Okay. Yeah. So as far as the receivers go, right? I mean, I think there's a couple guys that you can look at. Look, Willie Snead is the person that the Dolphins just signed. How's that going to look? You have Braylon Sanders kind of at the edge or at the end of the depth chart. Like, when's he finally going to show up and look like the guy that the Dolphins seem to make a decent investment in over the past season or so? River Craycraft, I mean, I'm a sucker for Craycraft anytime touchdowns. I may or may not have a little action on River Craycraft tonight.
Wow.
He has been somebody that I know the Miami Dolphins like. You're a sucker for intangibles. He brings them as well.
He does bring intangibles.
Yeah. We talked about Malik Washington. There's another connection of Mike Harley. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys tonight that you can kind of look to and say, hey, who's going to step up and show that they deserve a roster spot? It doesn't have to only come from receiving, but it could also come, in Mike Harley's case, making special teams plays. Braxton Berry. Go ahead.
I gotta tell you, I'm looking at gambling because you swayed me on to get over here. Yeah. What are these garbage props that they're giving me here for the preseason game? What is this? Like, I can't get any action on anything. This is ridiculous.
It's preseason game number 1.
Where is my River Craycraft plus 1,500 anytime touchdown? That is like, that's how I know it's football. Right now, it's like everything is minus 110. What is this garbage?
Well, River Craycraft is probably going to play the entire first quarter. We haven't even talked about who's starting at quarterback today for the Dolphins. That's probably another big storyline as well. You would imagine River Craycraft's going to get some targets today, bro. At least in the first half.
They love River Craycraft. River Craycraft is he is another one. He's a Mike McDaniel OG. Goes back to San Francisco with him. He got the orange jersey this week. He's the first guy in the wide receiver competition. Tyreek Hill always drafts him because he's a great blocker, but he's been making big catches too. You can't quit River Craycraft. It just feels like it's a needed part of this team. The guy's a dog. Everybody seems to enjoy what he brings to that wide receiver room. Although he did say this week, this was River, he says that he does practice like he hasn't made the team yet.
I think it's important to not think that you've arrived, and that's the mentality that I like to have. And just so we're clear, nobody has said you're making the team, any of that information is not given to you. So I'm not sitting up here saying anything like that. So I think it's important that guys, especially in my position, who have in the past been a bubble guy, and as trying to break that mold, it's important to keep that chip on your shoulder and act like you need to earn a spot every single play, because that's the only way you're ultimately going to get that spot.
Yeah, and certainly with a bunch of young guys there nipping at his heels, like he's got to show out. Even though I think the coach does have a soft spot for him.
And I mean, Tobin, I think I'd be very surprised if River Craycraft doesn't make this roster, barring injury. I would be very surprised.
Yeah, I think I would be too. Just because he'll give you anything this team needs, and I think when you know the system that well, you're trusted by the coaches. Yeah, he's not going to be the most dynamic playmaker in the world. That's not what he is, but he's solid, and I think that he's got a rapport with the room, the coaches, the quarterback. He knows all of that. There is an in there and a comfort level.
And don't undersell how important blocking is at the receiver position, and go back, look at some of the big gains that Miami had on the ground last year, especially some of Mostert's touchdowns. When Craycraft is on the field, dude's blocking.
Yeah,
he's blocking out on the edge by the sideline.
No, he's nasty. He's a nasty player for sure. So it'll be interesting to watch. I think probably the thing that's interesting, Quentin Bell has been one of the top training camp darlings. He actually was listed on the first team on the depth chart, which was a big nod to how impressive he has been, because that's definitely a job that's out there. I don't know if that'll end up getting overtaken, because a lot of the times, Leroy said this, that coaches will play games with rookies to keep them hungry. So maybe that's something that Chop Robinson leaps into by the end of camp and shows out. But for right now, reward-wise, Quentin Bell, who hell of a story, goes from a receiver to a defensive end in his last year at college and has been cut and waived all over the place. Last year was basically on was a scout team master, where he has to go. But if you guys don't remember, he was on Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
Okay. He was the guy. Remember, they're getting ready to take on the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
Max Crosby does a lot of chicken winging. He does a lot of like dirty stuff, like hits the ball out of your hand or just touch balls. So basically, while they were getting ready for the Raiders, Quentin Bell's job was simply to annoy Tua the entire time. And Tua very weirdly thanked him every time that he did him. Like he was kind of into it from a weird standpoint. You remember that, Dan Day? You're shaking your head. Like, you remember how strange that was? That was like, he's like, thank you, Quentin. But Quentin Bell is looking. He helped prep, and now he's showing out a little bit. This is him explaining why he thinks he's having such a great training camp thus far.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting a lot of great reviews and great reviews from my peers, and people gaining respect and gaining that trust. I just feel like I just been flying around. I feel like I have a high motor, and I feel like the faster you play, plays come to you, and you're gonna make plays just off playing fast. And I definitely feel like my speed and my get off and those things are my strengths. And so my main goal is just playing fast, letting the plays come to me, knowing my assignments. And yeah, I'm flying around. I feel like that's the main thing I'm doing, just flying around, man. And I feel like I'm gonna find the ball, and just off my speed and just off my want to, my will, and my motor, I'm gonna make plays.
Man, he's been making that impact early on. Salon is catching a lot of attention.
You could argue Quentin Bell has been the best player through training camp. I mean, he was already given the orange jersey at one point. Tobin, for those of us who are following these reports day in and day out from all the beat writers, so whether you're reading in the Palm Beach Post from Joe Shad or the Sun Sentinel, David Friones, Omar Kelly, Barry Jackson, wherever you're reading, right? Wherever you're getting and consuming your updates about camp, every single day there's been mentions about Quentin Bell. It's impossible to ignore him. And when you do that, when you jump off the page every single day, you're going to get your opportunities, even if you went to Prairie View A&M.
Well, it's great too, because he has a fresh defensive coordinator who gets to see him. A guy, I think that, and then we were talking about the guys who were overlooked in Baltimore that he really took a shining to. So I think that there is going to be those chances, and especially there's a big gaping hole here right now, especially for at least the first quarter of the season, most likely.
Yeah.
So it's all there for it. And, they had to go and find on the other side, bring back Emmanuel Ogbah last minute because the Shaq Barrett thing didn't work out. Then you have rookie. So it's there for Quentin Bell. If he wants to make an impact. We've seen some great stories like this. Sam Eguavoen comes to mind, where he was just laying the wood in preseason games. And, like we saw like this guy, I feel like there were games where Sam Eguavoen had like 10 tackles. I don't
Yeah.
even remember if I'm saying his name right because I think he changed it twice. Is it
I think
Aguavin? Eguavon? I don't remember.
It was Eguavon, then he changed it to Aguavin, and then it was back to Eguavon. He had a game, I believe he had 4 sacks in preseason, I believe, in one game.
That
4
sounds
sacks.
right. I don't know if that's true, but that sounds right because he just brought reckless abandon to preseason.
But here's the difference, though, Tobin. Sam Eguavon or Aguavin. During training camp, he wasn't somebody that we were like, oh my God, you got to watch out for this guy, right? Like, he was just somebody who was fringe 53-man roster, maybe practice squad guy. Then pads come on, preseason lights turn on, game kicks off, and he's making plays. So you're forced to actually take into account his production because he's doing it in the game. Everybody that we talk to, I listened to Leroy talk about this, Crowder, Aronde Gatson, everybody we've talked to that played in the NFL says joint practices matter more than these preseason games. Now, I don't know where you fall on this issue, but the fact that Quentin Bell has made impacts in joint practices, and now if he's able to translate that to these preseason games as well, is only a massive bonus for him because it's not something that Eguavon necessarily did consistently. And as of right now, Quentin Bell, there's a reason why he's getting the start today.
No, agreed. He's definitely caught the attention. And the other interesting thing that's going into tonight on the defensive side, it's got to be corner. I mean, we have the situation right now with Cam Smith, who you hope isn't going to become Noah Igbenogany 2.0 because everybody feels like, okay, he was just in the doghouse last year. But, it was interesting hearing Anthony Weaver speak about him and talk about the scars that he has from his rookie year and that he needs to play with the confidence. And now he's been dealing with some nagging injuries. He gets back out there, then he's not. So I'm wondering about him. It's not really the starting spots because I think that those are probably, no matter what happens, are going to be Jalen Ramsey, Kendall Fuller with Cater Co at the nickel. I think those are set. But depth-wise, Ethan Bonner has been all of the rage. Everybody's talking about the legend of Ethan Bonner, a white corner who's faster than everybody. This has not been seen in the likes in a long time. And you have this undrafted guy who Jalen Waddle has said nobody's taken a bigger leap than Ethan Bonner. And then you have this second-round pick who right now is not on the field. And I got to wonder whether or not this is going to be a repeat of last year where other guys are going to maybe take his gig.
Yeah, the injury issues suck for Cam Smith because he kind of had a fresh slate. You talked about earlier, Quentin Bell having the luxury of a brand new defensive coordinator, not knowing what happened last year and just kind of viewing him as, hey, coming in with a fresh start at camp. That's what Cam Smith got, essentially. Last year, washed. The old curmudgeon just didn't trust you and you didn't get playing time. Well, things are going to be different this year. Well, it doesn't help your case if you're hurt during your first training camp. So that I am worried about the Cam Smith experiment. We can't write him off. Obviously, it would be stupid to do so in his second year. But after the Noah Igbenogany stuff, that does creep into the back of your mind. The good news is, if a guy like Ethan Bonner can step up, we talk about Storm Duck as well. There seem to be other young guys vying for these opportunities as well. You have your 2 dudes. You have your 2 studs that you feel confident with. And it's crazy considering you lost maybe one of your best cornerbacks ever in franchise history, and you don't feel like you're going to feel that drop-off at all, if any, this season.
Here is Ethan Bonner, very confident, says he deserves to be here and he wants to get some playing time.
At the end of the day, I just want to be the best player that I can be. I want to maximize my potential. So yeah, I think I've gained a little confidence, and I think I deserve to be here. And at the end of the day, I do want to be on the field and I want to play.
There you go. So we will see what he's got on the field tonight. I think that's definitely one of the names that you'll want to see what kind of an impact this is going to be for this Miami Dolphins team. We'll take a break here on Game Day Uncensored. Something that is one of the most daunting subjects in Dolphins lore. The offensive line. What do we got for this year? Take a break here on Game Day Uncensored. Back with more for this.
Summer's up. Inter Miami's in full swing.
Game
Up you go.
by Southern Lexus dealers. Find your summer getaway at the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event. Get offers on select models through September 3rd. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. When it comes to returning your lease, Edmore's has your back. Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac is your lease return headquarters. Click EdmoreSawgrassCadillac.com. Edmore's is a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
Welcome back, everybody. It is game day, uncensored here, 560 WQAM. Tobin here with you alongside Solana. What did you just send me here, Solana? There's some NFL news going on right now.
There is, but you know what? Put that to the side. Look at what I just sent you right now as you brought this up. The Dolphins got to the facility today, and there is a brand new, fully renovated Miami Dolphins locker room. And bro, as somebody who's been in that locker room one too many times, this is a huge upgrade. Huge upgrade.
Yeah, long overdue as well. Yeah, I'm seeing some of these photos the Dolphins are tweeting out. It looks good, dude. Stephen Ross is definitely one who will spend on his team and put some dough into it. But this is a good look. I'll throw this up here for our YouTube audience and our Twitch audience if you guys want to see it here in just a second. But man, it looks good.
Hopefully they installed some new carpeting on the floor. That old carpeting. I mean, it's a locker room, though, but it doesn't exactly didn't smell great, to be honest.
Hey man, I'm familiar. I've definitely perused there and seen too many lineman cheeks. But you guys can see the look here. This is courtesy of the Dolphins Twitter account. But there's a little bit of a looky-loo at what the Dolphins have posted there for their new locker rooms. It does look like new carpet.
Yeah, it does. Thank God.
It does look like new.
The only negative about this is the old logo, which gives me somebody who cares about. I know you don't really care about this stuff, Tobin, as much as I do, but I was really hoping that the Dolphins at some point now we're going to go back to their the logo you're rocking right now,
the throwback,
the throwback logo, or even the one prior to this one, like the 92 to whatever it was, 2008 logo.
Yep.
I was kind of hoping they'd revert back, but I guess not. Whatever. It's not a big deal. Win games.
No, it is. It is a big deal. You want to like how it looks. I've been waiting for, and I'm a sucker for nostalgia too. I'd like everybody to go back to the 90s. I think the Marlins were better as teal. I thought the Dolphin looked better with a helmet on its head. But I think you're right. I think this is kind of a sign it's not going anywhere for a while.
Yeah.
Now they will wear it. They did announce the games they're going to wear it this year.
Games.
They're going to wear week 2. They will be wearing their teal throwbacks Thursday Night Football against the Bills, and then Thanksgiving on the road, Lambeau Field. I can't wait till we have football voice say Lambeau Field.
Yeah, on Thanksgiving too.
They'll be wearing those.
Yeah.
Oh my God, football and Thanksgiving. Just what a mix. So yeah, very excited about this, man. That's cool for the Dolphins players, and not surprising. They probably had to keep up with the new facility that's right across the street.
Yeah, no, the practice facility is crazy, man. Like the facilities. Hey, and you know who else is fist pumping right now? Mario Cristobal and the Miami Hurricanes. They're like,
sure,
okay, new locker room, sure, we'll take it, no problem, we'll take it.
Definitely has to be excited about it. All right, let's get to this, Solana. So, offensive line is a subject I really wish we didn't have to talk about as much as we did, because it feels like it's always just in flux. It's always unsettled. It's always in a spot where, is it going to be good enough? Can they hang? And I think it kind of starts with the idea that, well, their best offensive lineman is, well, we could just chalk him up for at least missing 4 or 5 games in Teron Armstead.
Yeah.
So that also already has a trickle down of everybody else being in flux. This week, you had your new center, Aaron Brewer, apparently hurt his hand. He was already having some snap issues with Tua Tagovailoa, which means Eichenberg, who, I'm no big fan of, but the whole idea of Eichenberg was, all right, at least he was going to be at a steady position. Now he's going to replace Robert Hunt, who they lost to $1 gazillion with the Carolina. By the way, I cannot believe Robert Hunt went for that much money. No disrespect. I was just like, what? Really? Then Robert Hunt went for that much money. Good for him, I guess.
Yeah.
But you thought Eichenberg, okay, right? Eichenberg's going to be in a set place, left guard. It's either going to be Wynn or Robert Jones, depending on when Wynn gets healthy. And then we know Austin Jackson's kind of strangely the steadiest thing that you have on the offensive line. So what is your worry level right now with this? Because we know that Tua has a tremendous talent of getting rid of the ball fast, but we also saw last year when one kind of gets taken away, the house of cards can affect things. And it felt very much like once Connor Williams got hurt last year, it did have a big effect on the offensive line.
Yeah, Connor Williams. And I know there were a couple instances of snap issues, most notably Kansas City, whatever that was, week 6 or 7 in Germany. Unfortunate, but for the most part, Connor was really good. He graded out really well throughout the season until his ACL injury. If you had asked me this before the Aaron Brewer hand injury, I would have told you I'm content with the offensive line, right? I'm content. After that injury, the fact that Aaron Brewer didn't come back to practice the other day and had to go get his hand checked out, arguably the most important part of his body he needs to get the ball to Tua Tagovailoa cleanly, which you mentioned, by the way, they've already been having some issues, which is okay. I mean, it's early on in training camp. Like, I am concerned because the alternative is what, Tobin?
I don't know.
The Eichenberg Express, and I'm not willing to punch a ticket for the Eichenberg Express again. Like, we're gonna do this again. I thought for the most part last year, despite the lack of health on the offensive line, the Dolphins kind of managed to figure it out at times. But the reality is what? Tua gets the ball out so quickly, under 2.5 seconds. Dolphins looked really good late in the season. That's not always the case. And with the fact that Tua's lost weight, he's more mobile, or what's the word they're using?
Nimble.
I was hoping, offensive line's going to come into play here. You want Tua to extend some plays. You need more time in the pocket. You need more, options for him. And that takes more than 2.5 seconds. This isn't a good start here for the Dolphins offensive line.
It's a little worrying for sure, because I don't know what you can expect from the young guys. They draft this absolute monster in Patrick Paul this year, and obviously you want him to be the heir apparent, but I don't know when that is an expectation of him, because he's thought of as a guy who is, we don't know, but this is the word on him, that he's a little bit raw. He's obviously got crazy reach because he's 6'8" and a giant. But I don't know what to expect from him, and I don't know in a pinch is he going to be able to do things. I mean, thankfully they have Kendall Lamb still, who is very steady to put in at tackles to replace. He did a great job last year when called upon, and you just feel like with Armstead he's going to be called upon. But yeah, hearing all the stuff this week that they were having a little bit of trouble operating, that made me feel a little Joe Philbin queasy. I was not feeling I was not great reading all that stuff.
Yeah. And it's just frustrating because, like you said, again, with the offensive line. And Tobin, I mean, this is kind of a deeper conversation, maybe not one that we need to have right now in preseason game number 1, but the lack of resources that the Dolphins have invested in their offensive line is a bit shocking, is it not? I mean, I thought Mina Kimes did a really good job a couple weeks ago for ESPN breaking down, the numbers of Tua Tagovailoa and the Dolphins offense that look really good under 2.5 seconds when he gets the ball out. But when he doesn't, the numbers kind of drop statistically in a big way. And that has to do with the offensive line. So while you can look at the offensive line production last year, especially when the Dolphins were healthy, and say, hey, this is actually really good, when you dig a little bit deeper, it's being masked by quick plays and quick throws from Tua Tagovailoa. I was hoping to go in a different direction this year. That's not to say, we got to have the number 1 offensive line in the NFL. I realize that, but I was a bit surprised that the Dolphins didn't invest a little bit more over the offseason, whether it be through the draft earlier or whether it just be, through free agency to improve this offensive line.
Yeah, for sure. Because you look at it and you're like, you kind of drafted almost 2 luxuries with your first 2 picks, right? Like you drafted a pass rusher where, yes, you need pass rush in a way because guys aren't healthy, but it's not like Chubb and Jalen Phillips are old. So you're adding this Chop Robinson, the first pick. Okay, you think he's the most talented guy. And then the next, you essentially are drafting a guy going into a redshirt year for offensive line. It is a little bit strange how they went about that, and you hope that it doesn't bite him in the butt. I don't know. Mike McDaniel, this was him on Liam Eichenberg, who is, the most maligned guy on the line, I think. He has moved around, at least in my personal opinion, he is. But Mike McDaniel loves him. He says he's getting a chance to stay in one place. Hopefully, we'll see with the center thing. But if he is able to stay in one place, he thinks that this is going to help him out. Here's Mike McDaniel and Liam Eichenberg.
Well, Liam Eichenberg has developed so much in the past couple seasons with us, and has done so by being a master of multiplicity. He's really found ways to not only contribute, produce, but then also improve whatever position he's playing. And that versatility we've had to utilize, for a multitude of different reasons. And he's found a way to be good at that. Well, the next step for him to find where his ceiling is as a player is in an offense that he knows forward and backwards, with all of the tools that he learned when you're starting at center for this offense, in terms of the calls and the different problem solving you have to do. For our team, it best serves us to really allow him that unique opportunity of stability and reps in one spot to see where his technique can go. That is for the Dolphins. We think that we'd be hard pressed to know exactly what that would be like, because he hasn't had that advantage.
Yeah, not 20 minutes later, by the way, did he move back to center because the center got hurt. So you want to talk about jinxing yourself.
Yeah, a lot of words there. Some of what he said is true, by the way. Like, he's had so much time to really understand how this offense works, right? Like, some of that is true, Tobin, and he could use that. He could use that to his advantage. The problem is Mike McDaniel called him a master of multiplicity, and the reality is he's just a master of not being great. And we know that. Like, there's a sample size there. Can he get better? We all hope so. But I think you're kind of just grasping at straws, hoping for Liam Eichenberg to be consistent, because, listen, man, we've seen it. It's just not going to happen. Can he be good for a couple games? Yeah, but he can't be great consistently.
We'll take a break here on Game Day Uncensored. We alluded to this a little bit earlier, but a big message from the Dolphins, especially a lot of the newcomers, is this Dolphins team needs a change in reputation, as they're thought of as a little bit of a finesse team, and they want to turn into bullies. We'll see if the Dolphins can have that personality makeover. We'll get into that. Game Day Uncensored rolls on after this.
Clip.
WPOW HD2 Miami, WKIS HD2 Boca Raton, an Odyssey sports station.
It's another Game Day Uncensored.
It's been a long, brutally hot summer, but now it's time to play some football. Preseason football. Tonight, the Dolphins face the Falcons at Hard Rock Stadium, where the weather will be as fiery as the Finns' joint practices with Atlanta have been. The big news so far of 2024? Tua's contract. A much talked about off-season story.
I want to thank my teammates. Throughout this process, those guys have been very, very supportive of me and my family throughout that. And as a player, you couldn't ask for more, especially from your guys. So we're looking forward to this year.
Rust will be shaken off tonight. Injury woes to figure out, but that's what we'll do. Time for Game Day. Uncensored, the pregame show for real Miami football fans with Tobin and Solana on AM 560 Sports, WQAM, FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Game Day Uncensored is sponsored by Southern Lexus Dealers. Find your summer getaway at the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event. Get offers on select models through September 3rd. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live. And by Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. When it comes to returning your lease, Ed Morse has your back. Ed Morse Sawgrass Cadillac is your lease return headquarters. Click edmoresawgrasscadillac.com. Ed Morse is a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
Welcome back in, everybody, to Game Day Uncensored here. 560 WQAM, streaming live on the Odyssey app, available for you on all app platforms. You guys can stream us there on demand, get all your favorite WQAM shows, as well as the WQAM YouTube and Twitch page, which is handled at the handle Miami 560 WQAM. That is where you guys can go subscribe, absolutely free. Get notifications every time we go live, which we will for every Game Day Uncensored back for the 2024 season. We are getting ready for Dolphins and Falcons preseason game number 1, Solana. Getting ready for it. Dan Day has no love lost for Atlanta. He hates their guts.
He does.
Most people from New Orleans do. Leroy Horde is no fan. And though this game may not count in the standings, it counts in our hearts.
It does, preseason. Hey, Tobin, can I interest you in some news away from the Dolphins very quickly?
For sure.
Very quickly. That I believe, as you would say, would tickle your fancy. So, a lot of preseason games this weekend. The Broncos play Sunday. Sean Payton, still the head coach there. He said Jarrett Stidham's going to start for the Broncos. Knicks will go second.
Okay.
Guess who's third on their depth chart? Do you remember
third on the depth chart for the Broncos?
Who else went to Denver? He loves older women.
Oh, Zach Wilson. That's right.
Zach Wilson is the third-string quarterback for the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, you got him. You have McCorkle. Mac Jones is the backup in Jacksonville.
Jacksonville. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that was not a good draft. That was not like the 2020 draft where every one of the quarterbacks got $200 million deals. 2021, a little bit rougher. Only Trevor Lawrence is standing.
Yeah, but also goes to show that the AFC East could be a little different this year. I mean, you got two bums out of the way leading those teams. One, of course, due to injury, Zach Wilson, because Aaron Rodgers played 4 snaps and then went to go do ayahuasca for the rest of the year. But this year should look a little different in the AFC East.
Well, it is. It definitely is going to be a little bit different, and you're hopeful that this is the year the Dolphins can finally get past the rat bastard Buffalo Bills, who obviously went through a lot of changes. They have no Stephon Diggs, no Gabe Davis, a lot of changes on that offensive side. They, of course, still have the tremendous James Cook in the backfield, and, Josh Allen can be very talented. He has been the Dolphins' daddy. With everybody else, he does seem to be a time bomb getting rid of the football. You never quite know with him, but you got an Aaron Rodgers coming back healthy with a very talented Jets squad, as long as they can't jet it up. But there does seem to be a little bit of frostiness between head coach and quarterback in camp thus far. which does lead us into this, Solana, newcomer from the Buffalo Bills, Jordan Poyer, probably had the reveal of camp of honest feelings, and a lot of the new guys on defense have echoed sentiments like this, but Jordan Poyer was the first to really give voice to it. And he says that the sense facing Miami in past years was they'd fold up easy. Here's Jordan Poyer.
I think just sharing the experience, like I said, playing against this team over the past few years, you kind of, you get a sense of, okay, if you get on top of this team, they might fold. And there's some teams that are, this is being honest, so what is that happens in those moments to where like, okay, we get hit in the mouth, what happens in those moments where like, hey, we good, let's bounce back, we're good. The game, it's a 60-minute game, it's a long game. So, I've been in games where I've been up 24 points and end up losing. I've been in games and we've been down 21 points and end up winning. So it's just continuing to just play the game. The game is going to come down to the last series, the last play. So just keep playing. Don't get stuck into that play that you didn't make, or don't get stuck into X, Y, or Z of the past. Let's just keep playing, keep staying together. That's the biggest thing too, is being able to stay together as a team. Because this is a team game. It's not just one guy. It's everybody. So being able to stick together through those adverse moments, through those ups, through those downs, and just staying on that line all the way through the season.
There you go, Jordan Poyer, new Dolphins safety, who has missed the last handful of practices. His wife, Rachel Bush, revealed that it was a thumb injury that has been keeping him out. So we appreciate the injury report from the missus. But what did you make, Solana? A lot of people kind of perked up their heads hearing this from a former foe on the Buffalo Bills, but basically saying the knock on the Dolphins is they wilt easily.
Yeah, by the way, there is some irony of him saying that the Dolphins were soft and that he's looking to change that, and then him missing a bunch of games with a thumb injury. I realize, I don't care if Poyer plays in training camp, so it's not a knock on him, but there is some irony there. With that being said, Tobin, he's right. You just don't normally get somebody new to the team to say that, but he's right. He's gone up against the Dolphins as much as anybody else has in the NFL, and he's bested the Dolphins with his team as much as anybody else in the NFL has over the past 5 or 6 years. And if he's telling you, hey, people kind of weren't afraid of this Dolphins team, especially late in the season, he's not just making that up. Like, he's saying it for a reason. He's trying, in my opinion, to kind of ignite the flames a little bit of his team. And he's right. Just look at the track record the last 2 years. Where did this team struggle the most? In late game situations, late in the season. And when do you have to win those games? Or what do you have to do in order to kind of exercise your demons? Win those games. So
yeah, because
I can't be upset with him. I can't be upset with what he said. I can understand kind of saying, hey, did you really need to say that to the media? Like, why not have those conversations behind closed doors?
Yeah, listen, I didn't love hearing it when he first said it, but he's not been the only newcomer who's said it. I mean, we've heard it from Jordan Brooks. We've heard it from Calais Campbell. Calais Campbell was making a big point of this, where he was saying, like, yeah, I kind of thought the culture was going to have to be changed even more when I got here. He does think that it's a little bit in better standing than he originally thought, but it doesn't sound like this is a unique thing. Jalen Ramsey, gathering the teams around saying, they're not going to be punked anymore. They're going to be the big word is bullies. Anthony Weaver's kind of echoed that. And then you get into this joint practice, and it's been interesting because the defense has been on the side of, being in fights or being in dust-ups or whatever. So the thing that is interesting about it, though, is I didn't necessarily think that was a defensive issue last year. I feel like when everybody looks at the Dolphins as wilting or not being able to stand on their own 2 feet if things have a little bit of adversity, I felt like that was more of an offensive issue of, can they punch back? Can they dictate the terms of a game?
Agreed.
I didn't think that was a defensive issue. Now, I'm great because there's a lot of new defensive faces in here, and if they're going to set the tone for that, maybe that'll trickle on over, and you're going to have an offense that is toughened by facing this every single day in practice. But yeah, I didn't love hearing it from Jordan Poyer, early on, but there was too many other people coming out and echoing it who also weren't here, that I guess you can't really ignore it. I mean, that is what McDaniel says. If you want the narrative to change, you have to change the narrative.
It's almost though like Jordan Poyer forgot he was a Dolphin for a second when he like got carried away. He's like, "Oh yeah, these guys were a bunch of bitches." Wait. I'm on this side now. Like,
yeah,
that's what it felt like. But Tobin, when you look back, you're right. By the way, a lot of people, when we analyze the end of the season last year, the way it ended, a lot of people are like, "Well, the Dolphins' defense was depleted. What do you expect?" And the reality is, the Dolphins' defense hung pretty tough considering the amount of injuries they had the last couple weeks of the season. I'm talking final game of the season against Buffalo, and even that playoff game. Like, they didn't allow Patrick Mahomes to torch them. If anything, they kept the Dolphins' offense in that game. It was the offense and their deficiencies that kind of, in my opinion, were highlighted at the end of the season. But with that being said, prior to Chubb and even JP having those season-ending injuries, Tobin, there were a couple instances for this Dolphins defense which got progressively better, in my opinion, throughout the year to come up with either big plays, big stops, or big games overall. I'm thinking Tennessee, and I'm thinking in Baltimore. And they got their faces bashed in Baltimore, and they couldn't come up 2 opportunities with a game-clinching stop against Tennessee. And then obviously Buffalo is another one. I think the offense probably holds a little bit more responsibility, but you can also point to the defense and say, what the hell happened? Special teams as well. So, like, it's not just on one side. And I'm with you where this isn't a defensive issue per se, but you can point to different points in the season and say, hey, that doesn't happen if your team has more credibility in the toughness category.
Yeah, and I think it can carry over. I think it can be it can be something that if they set the tone there, I think the offense can follow suit. And I think that, look, I think this is a team and an offense that does pride itself on being able to run the football well. They were very, very good. Like, the statistics back that up as far as how productive they can be. I think if anything, they probably feel like they probably left meat on the bone by the end of last year. But it definitely is an interesting thing to hear. This was Calais Campbell when they did have the dust-ups in camp, and he said that, yeah, it's kind of the mentality. We're trying to become tough guys.
I mean, I think we got a whole bunch of guys that scrappy, I mean, there's a narrative, that I think we're trying to change, and, we want to be tough guys, that's just part of it, just go out there and showing that we ain't gonna take nothing. But overall, though, it's about the work.
I love his voice.
Mm-hmm.
Just first off. And second of all, yeah, he's also giving you a lot of that same sentiment that they're trying to do something here that is a little bit different. And hopefully that is the case. We'll get our first look at the Anthony Weaver defense coming up today at 7:00. We'll take a break here on Game Day Uncensored. When we come back, we have gone way too long without talking about the man who was voted the best player in the NFL by his peers, the Cheetah, getting that money and also still has big goals. We'll get to more of that. Game Day Uncensored rolls on after this.
Going
Flip.
Broadcasting live from the Ed
We've made it easy to listen to WQAM. Just download the free Odyssey app to listen to all of our shows live or on demand. Plus, there's the cool Rewind feature where you can listen to any part of any show you might have missed anytime. Get it now and make WQAM your favorite station.
Game Day Uncensored continues on AM 560 Sports, WQAM, FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Game Day Uncensored is sponsored.
Going up.
Find your summer getaway at the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event. Get offers on select models through September 3rd. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Ed Morse Sawgrass Cadillac. When it comes to returning your lease, Ed Morse has your back. Ed Morse Sawgrass Cadillac is your lease return headquarters. Click edmorsesawgrasscadillac.com. Ed Morse is a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
Welcome back, everybody. It is Game Day Uncensored here, 560 WQAM. Brendan Tobin here with you alongside Alejandro Solana, getting ready for Dolphins Falcons preseason game number 1. I'm 2 full cups of Cafe Bustelo Black in. I got water, Sour Patch Kids. I'm all jacked up, Chip, and I'm ready for some fake football. Let's get going, Solana.
Sour Patch Kids, Tobin. That's your game day snack. That's preseason game day snack number 1.
They just look delicious. They were still in my fridge. I had them I don't want my kids to eat them all because that's bad for their teeth. And I'm trying to be a good father here. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Very, very commendable by you.
Thank you.
That's father goals.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying, one person we haven't talked about so far, and the man is really a game changer, not only just in the sense of the actual games that he plays, but just as a franchise player, and that is Tyreek Hill, who back-to-back seasons with the Miami Dolphins. Last year, a yard shy of 1,800 in 16 games. Ridiculous. The year before that, 1,710. 2 franchise records in 2 years for Tyreek Hill. The goal last year, Solana, was 2,000. He really tried to make that a thing. If he didn't get banged up like he did in that Titans game, perhaps this was something that he could have gotten. But I did get the sense last year that the Dolphins, even more so than they did in the first year with Tyreek Hill, were a little bit of cheetah or bust. Do you feel like this is a year where they need to be a little less Tyreek Hill reliant if they're going to succeed, or is he just too damn good to ignore in a game?
I don't know if it's fair to say last year they were cheetah or bust throughout the season. There were definitely instances in the passing game specifically where they were cheetah or bust, especially when Jalen Waddle had some of those injury concerns towards the end of the year, right?
Yeah.
Or even around the middle of the year, where it was like, okay, Waddle's not 100%. Waddle might be out. If Tyreek Hill wasn't getting the ball, like Tua didn't look like the guy we were accustomed to watching Tua be. And then it was obvious, like, hey, don't let the Dolphins get the ball to Tyreek Hill, make Raheem Mostert and Devon Achane, if he was healthy, beat you. That's a tough spot to be in if you're the Miami Dolphins. So I wouldn't say it's like fair to just label them as cheetah or bust last year, but there were instances of it. But hey, like that's what happens when you're the best player in the world, right? That's what happens when you're that type of weapon. Your quarterback wants to get you the ball. And by the way,
and coach.
It seemed to work, and coach. And it seemed to work pretty well when they were able to do it.
Yeah, I mean, he's unlike anything I think Dolphins have seen in a long time. I mean, it feels like when you have a weapon this good, it really haven't had anything this dominant on offense since Ricky Williams, like just the best feeling of having something unstoppable in a game. And that's what him and Tua, quite frankly, feel like as a duo. They're game breakers, and the chemistry that they have had, and they've talked about. Tyreek said this week, he goes, I've been a better player in Miami than I was in Kansas City. And I know that Kansas City fans will sit back and laugh their heads off because they are 2 for 2 on championships without him. Get it. You got the rings, but you cannot ignore he has had his best 2 statistical seasons with the Miami Dolphins. So, I think he's had a lot to hold up as well. He was just voted the number 1 player in the NFL by the players. And Mike McDaniel, this was him, and saying that he's not surprised that Cheetah was voted best player.
Appropriate. I'm maybe biased, but I know, really those it's such an honor to have all your peers recognize what type of player you are, and to have there's a lot of really, really good players, so that's a tremendous honor. But I think it's also interesting that it's not a surprise.
It is, it was. I think it was a surprise because normally it's going to go to a quarterback. Everything's going to go to Patrick Mahomes, and Patrick Mahomes ended up actually being 4th behind Christian McCaffrey, Lamar Jackson, and then Tyreek Hill. But man, Tyreek Hill had some kind of a season last year. It really was insane. Though he says 2,000 yards was a selfish goal, and that he is not looking for that this year. He is not going to. What do you mean a lie? How are you gonna say the cheetah is lying?
I don't believe that for 1 second. I just don't. I don't believe that for 1 second.
You're saying he's whopper telling?
We should be surprised that cheetah's telling whoppers all of a sudden?
I don't know. I'm not.
I mean, with the track record of cheetah, he's not exactly somebody who's going to get in front of the mic and be 100% honest, Tobin.
I don't think of him as a liar. He's a whopper teller. He will stretch the truth, but he didn't take it off the table. He just said that he thought it was a selfish goal. Do you have that, Dan, of Tyreek Hill? Tyreek Hill saying that he thinks 2K going after 2,000 yards was a selfish goal.
I will say for me, man, last year is last year. Obviously, it was great for me to come out and say, XYZ, I want to get 2K, you want to do this and that. That'll be great. Grand scenario, that'll be great. But I feel like at the same time, I have to understand that the position that I'm in, and me being one of the leaders and just singling out, an individual goal like that, because I had time to go look at it, talk about it with my family. And it's like, that's very selfish of me, So here moving forward, individual goal I've been talking about this whole entire offseason with my teammates, with my family, is I would want us to, win a playoff game. I would love that. We're going to start with that. Then moving forward, continuing to build on that, we're going to move to the Super Bowl. So it's one step at a time. Like if I'm able to, help this team, do something special as a team goal, I would definitely count that as like an individual goal as my own. And that'll feel good. That'll be something that I could live with for the rest of my life. So that'd be great.
There you go. Tyreek Hill on 2K.
Tyreek gets put under a lie detector test, Tobin.
Yeah.
And the question is, Tyreek, will you go for 2,000 yards this year? And he answers no. I mean, that polygraph test is going to be shaking.
You think the lights are going off?
I mean, the entire place is coming down with how hard that graph is going to be shaking up and down. He wants 2,000 yards. He wants it. He wants the record. He wants to beat Megatron. I know.
It would be amazing. It would be an incredible thing, though it is not the most important. Like, they really did feel like they were gunning for it last year. I think that Mike McDaniel felt, and I think Tyreek felt like this was a possibility. But Solana, there is an element to this. They have added more options in the pass catching game with Odell Beckham. Like, it's going to be hard. You have an Odell Beckham Jr. who's here, aside of Jalen Waddle, who I think even with him getting over 1,000, by his account, probably thought he was a little disappointed with his production last year. It took him a while to get going. I just don't know if it's a possibility anymore, man. With the thought that the tight ends are going to be more of an option, the fact that Raheem Mostert and Devon Achane are both saying they want to be involved in the passing game more. Is it realistic to think that this man, as incredible as he is it realistic to think that he can hit a mark like that?
Yes, it is realistic. Do I expect it, though? Like, should we expect it? No. But, Tobin, I think, that's the interesting element about this year. I mean, with so much on the line, so many expectations, and I do love how Cheetah just says it so nonchalantly. Yeah, let's get over that mark of playoff game, and then let's go win a Super Bowl. A lot has to happen in between to get from point A to point B there. To me, such an interesting element, though, specifically with this offense, is how much better can they get realistically? I mean, they were so good last year, top of every single statistical category, specifically Tua to Tyreek. How much better can they get? Like, can Mike McDaniel squeeze more juice out of those two guys together? I don't know. And I'm looking forward to seeing it, because from year one to year two, it was significantly better.
I think this is, though, where the skeptics would go and the people who want to see more out of them. And I think they're going to look to those games against over 500 teams and be like, a lot better. Like, if you really can squeeze the juice out of the games that matter and not be clipped like that, that's where I think, I mean, even if you look to the Cowboys game, like that, how many touchdowns were left on the board? Like I mean, credit to Jason Sanders. He had a hell of a day and saved, was that Christmas Eve, that game? Or was it
against the Cowboys? Yeah. Christmas Eve, yeah.
He saved Christmas Eve. Oh yeah, that's right. My brother-in-law ruined that for me. I remember that.
That's right.
But I think there are still opportunities for them to get a lot better, and especially I think against the better competition. And we'll see those chances. And it's almost like we alluded to this a little bit earlier, but that end of the schedule where you're taking on the likes of Green Bay on the road, San Francisco, Houston, Cleveland, all there in the last quarter of the season, and then whatever the Jets end up being, like, the test is going to be there. The test is going to be there for this team to see if they actually are going to improve and get over the hump. They are going to be battle tested. Look, a lot of things can happen. We don't actually know who the good teams will be, but we have an idea. And I think that everybody looked at this schedule when it first came out, and it was almost like a cruel joke because it feels very much like 8-3 all over again. And then what are you going to be after that?
Right. And
what are you going to be?
And make no mistake about it, Tobin, like the numbers I have imprinted in my head, 1-5 against playoff teams last year, and then 1-6 overall against playoff teams when you include the playoff loss. And just looking at the end of the season, I mean, the Titans loss was was misery all around.
That was death.
But the final 4 games of the year, including the playoff loss, you scored 22 against Dallas, but offense didn't necessarily look good in that game. You got the win, though. That's all that matters. But 22 points isn't what we came to expect. 19 against the Ravens, 14 and a big donut in the second half against the Bills, and then 7 against the Kansas City Chiefs. And then, to kind of drive the point home a little bit more, Tua as a starter, 6-14 overall against playoff teams in his career. Like, you have to find a way to make those numbers not mirror what they've been this season. You just have to. And you're right, Tua and Tyreek getting better in those games, in those critical moments is certainly a way to navigate through those waters.
Yeah, and another man that we got to put the focus on is the man who makes all the decisions. That is Mike McDaniel. When Gameday Uncensored comes back, what's his next step as a head coach in year 3 at the helm? We'll get into that. Gameday Uncensored, Tobin and Solana here with you on 560 WQAM, getting you ready for preseason game number 1. Back with more after this.
Game season. Keep it on AM
Odyssey app and made WQAM your favorite station? Do it. Listen to us live or on demand and use the rewind feature to go back and listen to any part of any shows you might have missed.
Now, let's get back to Game Day Uncensored on AM 560 Sports, WQAM, FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Game Day Uncensored is sponsored by Southern Lexus Dealers. Find your summer getaway at the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event. Get offers on select models through September 3rd.
All right, going up.
Free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore's Sawgrass Cadillac. When it comes to returning your lease, Edmore's has your back. Edmore's Sawgrass Cadillac is your lease return headquarters. Click EdmoreSawgrassCadillac.com. Edmore's is a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
Game Day Uncensored rolls on here, 560 WQAM. We are streaming live on the Odyssey app, AUDACY. Get that at your app store today. Stream us in your ears. Stream us with your eyes on the 560 WQAM YouTube and Twitch page, the channel, Miami 560 WQAM. No surprise there. Subscribe. Get notifications every time we go live. You guys can watch Tobin and Leroy live clips of the Hockman and Crowder show. And, of course, Sports Day live on the weekends with clips of our boy Dan Day and Vlad. They do a fantastic job. So that is where you guys can find all your kind of Krantz's Corner as well. So appreciate all of our viewers here in on the chat. Solana, your boots on the ground this week for a big day down here in South Florida. And, of course, I'm referring to the unveiling of Pitbull Stadium.
Yes, sir. Pitbull Stadium, baby.
Did you get as a proud Paws Up member of FIU, did you get the goosies when you saw Pitbull Stadium?
I got the goosies listening to Pitbull say Paws Up. But yes, driving by, because I kind of scooped the announcement accidentally, Tobin. Like that wasn't my intention. And all of a sudden I look up and I see Pitbull Stadium. I'm like, holy hell, that is genius. Right? That is
agreed.
It's genius. It's awesome. So yeah, it was cool. It was really cool to see FIU. Listen, Tobin, winning and FIU in football hasn't exactly been hasn't gone hand in hand. So at least if they can win it this way, with some clout, some social media attention, that's a start, bro.
It was
the right direction.
It was funny because when you guys were talking about it on Hawk and Crowder, I was riding around. I'm like, I was like, oh no, I thought Hawk was going to say John Gruden was going to be the next head coach, because that's kind of the direction FIU usually goes in, which is like
Isaiah Thomas.
Oh, Isaiah. Yeah. Like it's going to be some splash. So no, I love this. I think this is fantastic. That Pitbull is going to be one of the faces of FIU, and he now has his own stadium. This delights me. But not only that, he gets the ESPN coverage, and he puts his credibility as a football expert on the line and predicts Dolphins Super Bowl.
Oh,
you don't just Mr. Worldwide doesn't just say anything,
right?
I mean, he could just say anything, but like he does, you're not going to just say anything.
No, this isn't Rick Ross on like First Take talking about the Heat. Yeah, like this is Mr. Worldwide. All right, he's got people in his ear. Right, he's not going to go out on a limb here and make a fool of himself. He's just not.
I'm looking right now, by the way, Dolphins Twitter account just tweeting out a picture or a video of what looks like an Alec Ingold, Raheem Mostert, Devon Achane getting ready for a night off, because they're all in their sweats and game time is an hour and 15 minutes away. We don't have the full list yet, I believe, of all the inactives.
I don't think it comes out during preseason. Truthfully.
Don't they just say like who not to expect? I thought they usually said that.
Maybe
who not to, but like they don't look like they're playing football tonight.
Well, look, Cheetah's not playing football, but he is delivering some gems on social media. This just happened, Tobin. So, our friend Mary is Bananas on social media.
Yes.
Her last name now is Mary Crippen, but Dolphins fans know her as
Hard Knocks teacher. Great
South
Dolphins
Florida
fan.
Hard Knocks teacher, who is a legendary Dolphins fan at this point. And she went mega viral and now seems to have like some roles with the NFL, with the Dolphins. She's making her mark, man. Like credit to Mary. Anyways, about an hour ago, Tobin, she posted a lesson from her class, as she always does. Can Cheetah and Jalen Waddle combine for 3,000 yards? Class is going to track and find out. This year, it's all about teamwork.
Mm-hmm.
Cheetah quote tweets her tweet. and like corrects her spelling on the it's. So this year she writes, it is all about teamwork. And she put it's IT''S, which is the correct way to spell it.
Yep.
But he corrects her. I put it up here for our Twitch and YouTube audience as ITS with no apostrophe, which is, of course, incorrect spelling. So
Nope, that's possessive.
Correct. But Mary
Which is a
had-
tricky one, by the way, because every other possessive, it's always an apostrophe.
Correct. It is tricky. And listen, I don't care if Cheetah knows about possessive or plural or any sort of grammar. Just catch touchdowns and we're all good. But it is funny that 25 minutes before, or an hour and 25 minutes before kickoff of the first preseason game, Tyreek Hill is sitting in the locker room correcting a teacher on grammar, being
Yes.
wrong about it. And then her response, stop by my class. We got a seat open for you.
That's great. Oh, man. What a night. What a night, everybody. We are getting ready for Dolphins.
That's preseason right
That's
there.
preseason right there, baby.
Yeah.
That's preseason.
Yeah.
Practices this week. Raheem Morris, Falcons head coach, goes away back with Mike McDaniel. Of course, Raheem Morris now the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, but they go back to their times in Atlanta, being on the same coaching staff back in Washington as well. And this is what Raheem Morris had some pretty high praise for Mike McDaniel. Says he got a lot of love for him and really speaks a lot to his innovation as a head coach. Here's Raheem Morris.
It's awesome, being with Mike for all those years here in Atlanta and having the ability to grow with him. I remember moving over to offense. He was one of the people that was instrumental in like teaching me the offense and what we did with Kyle Shanahan and some of those things. So that was a really good experience. And we go way back to Washington days. And I mean, it's just so much history there between us. And that's like my little brother. He's one of those guys I talk about all the time and got so much respect for him, what he's been able to accomplish and do in this league. Particularly last year, he redefined some of the offensive styles, some of the way we play, some of the unique motions that you see going across the league right now. He was one of the first, if not the first, to start it.
There you go. Raheem Morris this week. And not only that, then you have this damn Florio coming out like a baby, and he's like putting the Dolphins on headlines. Oh, the cheat motion. This is ridiculous. Every time it's the Dolphins doing something cool or they gotta put some kind of a campaign against it, Solana.
It's too much fun for Mike Florio.
Apparently so.
Like, it's just too much fun. Mike Florio, old school. Oh, yeah. Hand the ball off and hike it under center. Hike it under center and then hand it off like back in the old days. He wants I formation, 9 guys on the line. Tobin. I mean, hey, progress with the game. All right, progress with the game.
It really is. It's upsetting because Mike McDaniel, you hear there from a great defensive mind, Raheem Morris, who's like, yeah, this guy is. Everybody around the league is trying to jack his stuff. They're trying to copy his style, and then you have the bunch of whiners out there saying, "Oh no, they got to outlaw the cheetah's moving too fast. This is CFL."
But the reality, Tobin, is that no matter what Florio says or any talking head says, the NFL loves what Mike McDaniel's done in the game. The NFL wants more offense. Look at all their rules being truthfully tailoring more offense in the NFL. And now you can add this new element to it where you have just more stuff happening within plays. Like the more important factor here is that the NFL isn't going to outlaw any of this. If anything, they're probably going to incentivize it.
I don't know. I mean, it's one of these things where like everybody said like the tush push was going to get outlawed and it didn't. So right. I just think that not everybody can pull off when you don't have the weapons that the Dolphins do. You don't have a Tyreek Hill, a Jalen Waddle, an A-Chan. I don't know what else you can do, but it is fun seeing them in action. Like, I loved the practice I got to this year, just seeing like Tua use the no look shovel pass. Like it's goosies, dude. Like I love all the misdirection they're trying to pull off. And I don't know what the next steps of this are. I do think that Mike McDaniel definitely has to work on maybe riding hot hands or not getting too cute if the running game is going well. And certainly some of those adjustments in game. But that's the growth of a coach. Like this is still a young guy. This is still a guy who had to take the reins over. I don't know, I think is still grasping all of that stuff, but he does have his players do have his back. I mean, that's definitely known on this team.
It's a fair question though, Tobin, right? Like when you're thinking of criticisms of Mike McDaniel late in games, does all that movement kind of hinder your ability to just go up, get on the line, 3rd and 3, you need a first down, go get it. Like I think those are fair questions, Can some of that movement help you get those plays? Sure. But I think there's more examples of last year, the Dolphins in those late game situations kind of not being on the same page than there was of, hey, 3rd and 1, 3rd and goal, 4th and goal, 4th and 1. They knew exactly what they were doing, and they were all, kind of on the same page. They weren't. So, like, that to me is the next step and the next progression of this offense, aside from winning big games and all that stuff. It's like, hey, you saw in the Super Bowl, Patrick Mahomes, 4th and 3, he needed a first down. He knew exactly what he was going to do. He put the ball in his own hands. Andy Reid trusted him, first down, and they won the game off a big play like that. Can the Dolphins have those types of plays, that confidence late in games and in short yardage situation where you don't need Tyreek Hill to run, 30 yards in the backfield and trickery? Like, you don't need it. You just know what you're going to do.
I did get a chance to ask Jeff Wilson this when I was out of practice, because he's a Mike McDaniel OG. Like, he's been around Mike McDaniel as long. Probably River Craycraft and Mostert are like the only other guys who, go back to San Fran with him. But Jeff Wilson, who in a lot of ways, maybe still fighting for a job or maybe playing for a job in this preseason, we'll find out. But the thing that's interesting is, like, this isn't like the Dolphins just getting more experience in the same offense, which it is great that their play caller is here for 3 straight years. But he was saying that Mike McDaniel, basically has new tricks all the time because he never stops thinking about it. Here's Jeff Wilson.
Oh no, man. He's always working. He always trying to improve, and he always trying to expand. So, every day you learn something new, and every day you add something. So you never know what he's going to give you. That's why we always get in here and study and prepare and be ready for every throws at us. Because Mike is not a simple-minded person. His mind always moves. He always trying to find new ways to do things and invent things and be different. And everybody on this team wants to be different. That's why we're trying to chase this championship. So it all just merges together and it all collides, and it fits and it works.
I do picture Mike McDaniel like being in the cafeteria and like using the salt shaker and the pepper shaker to like, I just had inspiration, everybody. Like, it's
gather,
just always
gather around.
Like, it's just it's like, he's just like, he needs silence for a second because a new play just dawns, like a muse like hits him, and he's just thinking like, oh, this is, I got new things, and everybody's like, and then everybody gathers around and they're like, shh, and Engel's like, hey, shut up, let's see what he's got. That's what he's got. He's using the mustard. What's he got going on here? How is it? Why does he have napkins? Is Tua the napkin? What's going on here?
Like, hey, Tua, throw me the mustard real quick. Throw it over here. I need the mustard. Who's got the ketchup? Throw me the ketchup.
We need to set things up here. He's like, or he's just making everybody like, he's like, hold on, everybody in the hallway. Like, I just came up with something. Let's put this all together, and we're gonna figure out this new play. I got some new razzle dazzle that's gonna be happening for us.
He doesn't have time to like write it down. If he's at his desk, he uses a stapler as Tyreek Hill. Like, he's just, whatever inanimate object he has, he's willing to draw up the next game-winning play.
Yeah, that's how I picture it. Here was River Craycraft on that same sentiment where he says this offense has evolved a lot in the 6 years he's been with Mike McDaniel.
I think this offense evolves every year. I've been with Mike and Wes for, what is it, going on 5-6 years now. So I've seen the offense evolve throughout the years, and every year they come up with new things. And it really is incredible from my perspective, just because I have been with it for so long, to see how much change happens each year. So it's fun. It's interesting. It always gets the guys going, and I like where it's headed. So I'm excited to see what happens August 9th.
There you go. It is going to be an interesting one as we get going here. Preseason game number 1, River Craycraft. I think we'll see a good healthy dose of him tonight. Jeff Wilson possibly as well, with a lot of the young guys. It's getting exciting, Solano. We're almost an hour away from our first preseason game, and lots more to dive into, including a battle that Mike McDaniel says is neck and neck right there, and that is, of course, QB2. We know Tua's got this on lock. But who's getting these snaps if Tua, for some unfortunate reason, couldn't go? We'll get into that coming on up. Game Day Uncensored. Back with more after this.
WQAM on the Ken.
WQAM Miami, WPOW HD2 Miami, WKIS HD2 Boca Raton, an Odyssey Sports Station.
It's another Game Day Uncensored.
Footballs will fill the air tonight as the Dolphins open up their preseason with a game against the Falcons. Regulars will most likely not play, but others will be looking to make the team on both sides, making for a vigorously played game in Miami Gardens. It might be way too early to prognosticate, but Tyreek Hill says there is a tangible goal.
But as a team goal, and what I want, like for this whole team, man, is just to win. Is just win a playoff game. That's step one for all of us, man. I think that's something that we all can build on. Moving forward. Going deeper into the playoffs, and that's something that we can live with forever because it hasn't been done in 23, 24 years. And for us to be able to do something special like that with this team, we can look back on it 50 years from now when we all come back and say, man, we had a great team, man, back in 2024, man.
It's still summer, and a hot one it's been. But football is back. Preseason game number 1 at Hard Rock Stadium. Game Day Uncensored. The pregame show for real Miami football fans with Tobin and Solana on AM 560 Sports, WQAM, FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Game Day Uncensored is sponsored by Southern Lexus Dealers. Find your summer getaway at the Lexus Golden
Going up.
event. Get offers on select models through September 3rd. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore's Sawgrass Cadillac. When it comes to returning your lease, Edmore's has your back. Edmore's Sawgrass Cadillac is your lease return headquarters. Click EdmoreSawgrassCadillac.com. Edmore's is a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
Welcome back in, everybody, to Game Day Uncensored here, 560 WQAM. Tobin and Solana on to hour 4 of our preseason pregame coverage of Dolphins and Falcons. And this is going to be a matchup today, Solana, where, yes, a lot of the regulars will not play for the Miami Dolphins, but it's going to be a game that probably has a lot of attention on it because we see around the league. First of all, there are some teams that are playing their starters, the Chiefs among them. Jordan Love, I think, is getting some run this week. Josh Allen's getting some run this week with the Buffalo Bills. Is there any part of you that is disappointed that we are not getting some more first-teamers today, or this is par for the course? This is Mike McDaniel doing his thing.
Disappointed from the standpoint of I'm just a gluttonous pig, and I would love to see real football. Like I'm kind of over the preseason, Tobin. I know it's important. I don't hit my DMs with I don't know football, like preseason matters. Like I get it, but just give me 18 regular season games and enough with the preseason. It is a bit of that point.
It is a bit of a charade. It is like it does feel like, and especially this week where it's like Mike McDaniel is very, very careful with his veterans, especially. There's a lot of veterans on this team. So it's felt like a lot of these practices have been missing something because just like a lot of guys, Tua's out there, and it's great that drama's behind everybody. But I'm with you. I wish, we could just maybe do one and then just like kind of get into the season, something like that.
Yeah.
But I guess the thing,
what are we going to see, Tobin? Right? Like defensively, there's going to be questions until your guys are healthy.
Right.
There just is, right? Like those, I don't want to call them excuses, but the context is built into the first couple weeks, maybe month of the season until your guys are healthy with a new defensive coordinator. Like, to me, that's fair. As far as the offense goes, like, what are we going to see in the preseason that is going to make me say, wow, this team can take X step outside of some of the more ancillary pieces? Jalen Wright, OBJ, Willie Snead. We can go on and on with like those guys, but what is going to make this team great and win games when it matters most are their best players. And to me,
sure.
like, we're not going to learn anything about those guys in the preseason.
Well, I do think it's a rookie class that people are pretty excited about. I think that this, seeing Chop Robinson, I mean, I got to be honest with you. Like, I liked seeing the video they just tweeted out. The team just tweeted out of Patrick Paul working on his footwork because this guy is a behemoth. Like, is he going to be called into duty at all this year? Will they trust him to be called into duty this year? They got a running back room that's a little bit crowded right now. They got a rookie I think people are excited about. Devon Achane didn't have like the flashiest preseason last year and then kind of lit the world on fire right as the season started. So yeah, these can be a little bit weird as far as what do you really buy into. So I get you there. But I think, look, we're going to get to see tonight a top 10 quarterback in Michael Penix Jr.
Yep.
So people think highly of his skill set. Can the Dolphins make a rookie look a little uneasy just kind of getting after him? So I think there'll be some headlines to look at. It's not going to be completely uninteresting. I get you. The Dolphins, this quarterback room is the same as it was last year, and it's a battle of QB2, which none of us really ever want to know who QB2 is going to be. All respect to the local kid and Mike White and Skylar Thompson, of course, going into his third year. And Skylar Thompson, I mean, in a lot of ways, this man is the preseason GOAT. I mean, this dude puts up preseason numbers. I mean, that just is. He gets out there, he slings that thing. It does.
Him and Reed Sinnett will always be preseason GOATs in Dolphins uniforms.
Reed Sinnett to win it. I remember talking to Duncan Robinson about Reed Sinnett. Apparently, he was very close to Reed Sinnett and was hoping that he had a chance.
Remember, he in Cincinnati a couple years ago, he threw a game winner final preseason game, literally like a game winner to win the game. And we're like, how does it get any better than this? Well, Skylar Thompson said, hold my beer because I got you. I'm going to carry us through the preseason every year.
It's going to be interesting for Skylar because he I don't think he's going to have his safety blanket in Eric Ezukama, who's once again dealing with some injury stuff. But he might have to find a new one. It might have to be Malik Washington. It might have to be Willie Snead, as long as he put his Twitter thumbs away. We have to.
Hey, Tobin, this is interesting though, right? Because like we make jokes, but Skylar's kind of been more impressive from all counts through training camp. And I mean, I don't think it matters who QB2 is because to me, if any of these guys, whether it's Mike White or Skylar Thompson, you're relying on them for a chunk of the season. To me, like something bad happened to Tua, which knock on wood, and the season's done anyways because you're not winning. You're not accomplishing your goals without Tua. Period.
I'd agree.
Story. So to me, it's like kind of a nothing story, but at the same time, Mike White, you're getting paid to be a backup. You're getting paid so that there is no controversy with who the backup to Tua is in case we need you for a game.
Yeah.
Why is a 7th round pick in Skylar Thompson? Granted, third year, clearly has shown flashes. Like, why is this a discussion? Why do we have to feel uneasy going into preseason game number 1 about this backup quarterback situation?
So you're embarrassed for Mike White that somebody has caught up to him? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying I'm embarrassed for Mike White, but
he's got friends. Like, you're gonna get tomatoes thrown at you, dude. Like, what are you doing here? You're going after a Broward Prince.
I like Mike White. I mean, that's why I'm just saying, hey, you got paid to come here and be our surefire backup quarterback. Like, break glass in case of emergency. Mike White can win you a game or two. He did it in New York.
Right.
Why is Skylar Thompson outplaying you to the point where Mike McDaniel's giving 7-minute soliloquies just to save face for you, Mike White?
Here was Mike McDaniel.
Oh, don't tell me we're gonna play this whole thing.
Yeah.
No.
We got
I'll be back in the next.
Mike McDaniel said this is battle. This is an even battle right now for QB2. Here was Mike McDaniel earlier in the week talking about his backup quarterbacks.
That competition is, I think, something I'm very proud of. In that those two competitors, really gave it their best shot last year, and I thought it was a pretty close race with Mike winning it, and they've continued to develop their games, so they continue to do really good things, and each individual, I think, is better than where they were last year. That's hugely important for quarterbacks, particularly ones that don't start or play during the season. that you don't want to regress, you want to improve. So, I see that as it's neck and neck, and far from me even thinking about who's gonna win that job. And I think that's a compliment.
I think it's a compliment too. Why are you downplaying the battle of QB2?
Because it's not a compliment.
It's not?
Listen, nobody has stuck their neck out more for Skylar Thompson than me. I was the leader of the Skylar Thompson brigade 3 years ago when he was a rookie, and I was literally arguing, hey, don't worry about Teddy Bridgewater. Trade him. Just make Skylar your backup, because if push comes to shove and you need Teddy, the season's over anyway. So just let it be Skylar Thompson. Like, that was my take, and I got crushed for it. And I kind of was right about it. Skylar has shown that, hey, he's good enough to be your emergency quarterback in case of concussion or COVID or whatever. He shouldn't be a backup quarterback. He shouldn't be when you're paying another guy a nice chunk of change to be your backup quarterback. Like, show up to camp, be the backup, and inspire some sort of confidence that if we do need to go to you, you're going to be able to produce good results. Don't let the third string who hasn't played in 2 seasons come up and outplay you during training camp. I'm sorry. This isn't a good situation.
Yeah, but I feel like this would be such a, like, didn't they have that kid from UTEP here for like a week? Like, this would be such a different comment of like, oh man, the dude from UTEP was going neck and neck. Like, if you've been in an offense for 3 years, this is the offense you've known for 3 years, and he has a rapport with most receivers that are in camp. Like, yeah, they could probably, like, Mike White is not some world beater as like you said, like, he is not this is not some veteran who has many starts under his belt. This is not a Joe Flacco who's in tow, or a Teddy Bridgewater. Like, he's had some nice moments, and I don't think that him not being able to hold off Skylar Thompson should be that big a surprise.
Tobin, he's getting paid $4 million.
I understand.
He's getting paid $4 million.
They're all right. What are you going to get?
To be your backup. Like,
you act like we're in cap hell or something like that.
No, we're not. But we could use that cap space, could we not, to shore up a couple other deficiencies on the team? And by the way, this makes it sound like I'm advocating to trade Mike White. I am not. I genuinely like Mike White
like you are.
As a person, and I want him to have this job. I just don't understand how you could be outplayed consistently by a third string when it's your second year in this offense. Hey, you want to talk about, Tobin, that Skylar has 3 years in this offense and he has a rapport with some of these receivers? Mike White was taking first-team reps while Tua was in his holdout for 3 days. He was throwing to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and you couldn't outplay Skylar Thompson? Come on, what are we doing here?
I got to be honest with you. I didn't think your hottest take of the day was going to be Mike White's a bum. I don't think you're going to be welcome in Coconut Creek. I got to be honest with you, dude.
Well, the good news is I don't drive north of Kendall, so unless I'm going to El Portal. So I think
if you go to one of your Hawk and Crowder Panthers watch party games, watch your head on a swivel, dude. I'll have to watch out for Eichenberg, and you're going to have to watch out for Mike White.
Well, listen, my criticisms of Mike White pale in comparison to the way that you just ran Liam Eichenberg's name through the mud over the last 3 years.
Yeah, I still don't trust him. I hope he's good.
I love Mike White, by the way. I want to go on record. I love Mike White.
Doesn't sound like it at all. Just said congratulations. You're getting your lunch money taken away by almost Mr. Irrelevant.
So, who do you expect to start today then?
I think Mike White's going to start. I think he's going to start.
Half for each, right? Mike White.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, I would think so. And then, maybe they'll flip next week. But I think that Mike White's probably going to start this week.
Okay.
We'll take a break here on Game Day Uncensored. We got the list from the Falcons on who is not going. We'll expect that list maybe from the Dolphins shortly, and we'll give you guys a rundown. And plus, pretty big honor given out this week by the Dolphins franchise. Back with more after this.
Summers on
Clear.
Inter Miami's in full
cool way to listen to WQAM, the free Odyssey app. Download it today and make us your favorite station. Same great shows, same great games. Plus, you can use the rewind feature and listen to anything you missed. Hurry!
Game Day Uncensored continues on AM 560 Sports, WQAM, FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Game Day Uncensored is sponsored by Southern Lexus Dealers. Find your summer getaway at the Lexus Golden Opportunities.
Going up.
Get offers on select models through September 3rd. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. When it comes to returning your lease, Edmore's has your back. Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac is your lease return headquarters. Click EdmoreSawgrassCadillac.com. Edmore's is a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
Welcome back, everybody. It is Game Day Uncensored here, 560 WQAM. Tobin and Solana here with you, as we have been since 3 o'clock, getting you ready for Dolphins and Falcons. The Dolphins just tweeting out, Solana, warming up with a video of Mike White,
my boy,
and Skylar Thompson warming up. They're close to the vest. You got to keep Raheem Morris on his toes. You can't just give him an advantage.
Right.
You got to bring this thing all the way down to the last minute and see who it's going to be and who is going to be playing quarterback for this Miami Dolphins team today. You don't just reveal these things to anybody.
What are we doing? Gamesmanship in game one of the preseason? I mean, come on. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Apparently so. Apparently so. We are keeping this one extremely tight. Extremely tight. But this is going to be one, I think, like, look, there's going to be some young guys that are going to be interesting in watching today. I saw the video Storm Duck they put out to warm up. Love to see what Storm's going to bring to the table. Ethan Bonner, the likes of Chop Robinson, obviously, Patrick Paul, all these rookies. Like, there's a lot of intrigue here. Malik Washington, can he flash with the ability for people to tackle him like he did in practice? Because there is just a little different of an element between the practice setting where, no one's really going to go and lay you out. It's a little more physical. It's a little trench warfare. Yeah. But now bullets are flying. The quarterback can get hit. It's a little bit different.
Especially in a game, Tobin. I mean, we talk about none of the starters are playing. Like, these are games where you have the rookies and the second-year players even, the 6-7-year guys who are playing at 150%, right? Because, like, that play, that drive, that snap could be the difference between making money this year and not making money or having a place to live in. So, I think of a guy like Ethan Bonner. Hey, you've gone up against some of the most talented players in the NFL, and they've all spoken highly of you. Yep. Guess what? Here's your actual first opportunity to go out there and give us something to chew on. Give us something to say. It wasn't just hype during the preseason or during training camp. It was something that can translate to the field. We talked about it earlier. Don't be Sam Aguavin. No disrespect to him, but be somebody who is going to show results during practice, but also come up and produce when you're given your opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, if you have a moment today where if you have the Falcons, who strangely also drafted a quarterback after paying Kirk Cousins a lot of money, but if you have a moment today that would give Dolphins the goosies, it would be Chop Robinson sacking Michael Penix Jr. Like, your first round pick getting after their first round pick. Like, that could be something where you're like, oh, we'll carry that. We'll know that. I don't need, immediately you're just feeling to yourself, hey, I haven't had a first round pick in a while, but if he just flashes just a little right off the bat, you're going to be feeling good about some certain things, or even a Muhammad Kamara, even if it's a late round draft pick. Like, seeing some of these guys and this new look defense come out there and give hell to a guy, because if he comes out and he carves you up, you're going to be like, first of all, it's going to start. Sports radio is going to go crazy in Atlanta. Our boy John Michaels up there is going to be like, should they start Michael Penix and trade Kirk Cousins? You want to prevent a sports radio debate this week in Atlanta. That's what you want.
Yeah, you want to do the opposite of cause a ruckus. Like, you want there to be calm in Atlanta tomorrow. Yeah, Kirk's our starter.
Yeah, Kirk's
right
Kirk's
now. Hey, you talk about Chop Robinson, though. Maybe giving us a highlight play and providing some sort of memorable material. Tobin, when we think of Chop specifically, right? First round pick expectations, we talked about him earlier. We think of getting to the quarterback, one-on-one, beating his defender, out on the edge, and hopefully tonight, a sack on Michael Penix, some QB rushes. But what were the big question marks for Chop coming out of college? It was A, can he drop into coverage if you need him to, right? And B, like just being able to set the edge, specifically how he's going to fare against the running game from other teams. And to me, like that is something, if you're a Dolphins fan, either going to the game or watching on TV, you would love to see him get to the quarterback, some QB pressures, like all that is awesome. But also, how has he progressed from being drafted through a training camp now going into his first preseason game? Because, I remember that being a big question mark regarding his ability to make an impact right away. Like, sure, he can get to the quarterback, but can he do everything else?
Well, and even getting to the quarterback, like in hits and like he did not get a ton of sacks in college. Like this is not a guy like that was the thing is like his athleticism, his measurables are all off the charts, but his numbers weren't really there, which, is not everything. I mean, but when you're getting drafted first by a team in the first round, 21st overall, yeah, I think you probably expect to go look and have his stats look like Mo Kamara's. Like I think you're expecting them to be like, oh, he led his conference in sacks and QB hits and all that stuff. So yeah, if he were to be able to show, hey, at this next level, and I use that in air quotes because it is against, second stringers, third stringers, but that at least on an NFL field, hey, he's making, you can notice him immediately. I don't think you want a game today where he's necessarily lost. Like you don't see any impact on him whatsoever. I think this is one of those things like on a playing field like this, you want to be able to notice your first round pick. Because that was a bit of a question mark with him is like, yeah, the athleticism jumps off the page, but can he truly make an impact? Whereas a guy like Kamara is maybe not the most physically imposing guy in the world, but seemingly gets after the quarterback like crazy. Now he's had a bit of a quiet camp and hasn't, I think, busted off the page like a Chop Robinson has. But yeah, these are going to be the interesting things tonight because I definitely think there's a lot of pieces on the defensive side of the ball that you're going to look and say, hey, is this something that's going to be able to sustain? Because there's some opportunities up for grabs. There's some jobs up for grabs. There's some holes that need to be plugged. Whereas on offense, it feels very much like, all right, it's not Tua tonight. It's not Tyreek. Like the offensive show's not really here tonight unless it's somebody having a great run game.
Hey, let's not forget, man, like when we're talking about the defensive side, there's also some holes that need to be filled. We haven't even brought up Andrew Van Ginkel, right? Like AVG's gone. What was the phrase? Nose for the football, NFT? Was that
NFTF,
you?
yes.
Yeah,
Nose for the
NFTF,
football.
right? Nose for the football. Like who's going to be our new NFTF guy? Who's going to be nose for the football? Because we don't have that guy, right, Tobin? We don't have the Swiss Army knife anymore in the backfield with the luscious locks. Who's going to step into that role this year? I think that's something that you could also look at from the defensive aspect, which is whether it is, Chop. I know they play different positions, but the linebacker core is kind of a question mark as well this year. But there's a lot of guys who are going to get some playing time today.
Yeah, and they've been. I haven't kept official count of it, but it feels like they've been dominating orange jersey grabs. Like I feel like the linebackers, I feel like everybody's at least had it once on that squad. So I think they're very proud of what they've put forth thus far in this preseason. So very interesting to see what we're gonna have. We're getting some word now of some of the pieces that are out there. So we'll bring you those as we close things out on Game Day Uncensored. We are closing in on kickoff. We'll give you some of the notes, the news on who's going to be in, who's going to be out for this game specifically. We'll be back with more Game Day Uncensored right after this.
Clear.
Download it today and make WQAM your favorite station.
Now, let's get back to Game Day Uncensored on AM 560 Sports, WQAM, FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Game Day Uncensored is sponsored by Southern Lexus Dealers. Find your summer getaway at the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event. Get offers on select models through September 3rd. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. When it comes to returning your lease, Edmore's has your back. Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac is your lease return headquarters. Click EdmoreSawgrassCadillac.com. Ed Morse is a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
Welcome back, everybody. Game Day Uncensored here with you, Tobin and Solana. Appreciate Dan Day producing for us. By the way, Dan Day is going to be hosting post-game for Game Day Uncensored this season. Dan, what are you on the lookout for tonight? Is there anybody you're looking for to impress you as you dive into preseason game number 1?
Yeah, first preseason game. It's always going to be the rookies. Want to get that first round pick. Chop Robinson getting some movement. See what Pierre-Paul has to offer. And, of course, Jalen Wright, exciting, even though he might not be all that different from Raheem Mostert. Maybe that's what I'm looking for, the difference between Jalen Wright as running back as opposed to the other two guys that are the main running backs, Raheem Mostert and, of course, Devon Achane.
Agreed. I think so. I'm very excited to see, what he's going to bring to the table for this team. So you guys can be on the listen and watch for Dan Day on Game Day Uncensored post game coming up here for you this season. I've been looking to Salon. You were right. No list comes out of who's not playing. The Falcons gave one. Well, what's up with that? But I have been following some on Twitter. Our boy Omar Kelly, which, by the way, congrats to Omar. Back on the. He's not really back on the beat. I know he's a Dolphins columnist, but he's with the Miami Herald. So we had such a fun time with Omar last year doing this show. So I'm just checking on him because, he is always boots on the ground when it comes to the offensive line. And he's saying he doesn't see Eichenberg nor Aaron Brewer. We know Teron Armstead's not going to go. That's ridiculous. He's not going to go in a game like this. Apparently, Keon Smith looks like he's going to get the start at left tackle ahead of the rookie Patrick Paul, and you got Jack Driscoll and Andrew Meyer, who's an undrafted rookie.
Or they just brought in Andrew Meyer. Yeah.
So those are going to be your centers tonight, but that's a little looky-loo at where we are with this Dolphins and Falcons first preseason game.
Preseason game number 1, Tobin. I mean, it is what it is, right? Like, you're not going to learn much from the offensive line. Dolphins offensive line is already kind of a bit banged up already to begin with, especially with no Isaiah Wynn, and we don't really exactly have a timetable for him. So you're kind of just hoping for health once the season starts there, and then who can be serviceable behind those guys. I guess that's what you're looking for from that aspect.
Yeah, for sure. And look, we talked about the backup quarterbacks to start this hour because there is a supposed QB2 competition, a big even battle.
You say suppose, like I bought into that. Like that to me has been a major talking point coming into today.
Well, it's been noticeable. I will tell you, it's noticeable that on social media, they not only said warming up and posted both quarterbacks as if there's no revelation there, but then even as them walking out of the tunnel, it's Skyler and Mike White. So they're still not revealing who it is, at least as far as I can tell on social media. If I missed it, I apologize. But not only that, they're treating them as they are equals. Like, their social media wise are treating them as if there is no difference between the both of them. So I feel it's almost to a point where, like, Mike McDaniel's like, hey, if we're posting them, even Steven.
He's controlling social media now for the backup quarterbacks.
I believe it. That he's going in there and he's trying to keep this as even as possible.
Hey, Tobin, you say there's nothing to divide them, that they're equal. I'll tell you what's there to divide them: how much money they're each making. Okay,
that's true.
Now,
by the way, got a list here. This is from Joe Shad of the Palm Beach Post. On offense, players not suiting up tonight: Tua, Devon Achane, Raheem Mostert, Savon Ahmed, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Braxton Berrios, Anthony Schwartz, Eric Ezukama, Durham Smythe, Jonnu Smith, Julian Hill, Robert Jones, Teron Armstead, Austin Jackson, Kendall Lamb, Liam Eichenberg, Aaron Brewer. So the entire offensive line, the entire starting wave of receivers.
Even some guys who aren't started, like Anthony Schwartz.
Yeah.
You said
But here's
Julian Hill. I mean, I have a prop bet in for Julian Hill. Like he's another one of these guys, right? That kind of has to prove that he belongs on this team.
But here's the disappointing one, because we kind of knew the offense. On defense, here are players not suited up. This is from Joe Shad. Calais Campbell, Manuel Ogba, Zach Sealer, Tier Tart, Chop Robinson.
What?
No Chop Robinson tonight, according to Joe Shad. Anthony Walker, Mo Kamara, also not suiting up tonight.
Tobin, are you I didn't know you were playing tonight. No wonder you have to get out of here a little early. I had no idea, because they're going to need you at some point tonight.
What the hell is this? David Long not playing tonight. Jordan Brooks, Kendall Fuller, Jalen Ramsey, Javon Holland, Jordan Poyer, Cam Smith, Cater Kohu. Wow.
So, I mean, at least no Storm Duck on that list.
Storm Duck is out there. Storm Duck and Ethan Bonner are out there.
Let's go.
Ugh. No Chop Robinson?
Wow.
Sucks.
This does feel like last year, though. If we're being 100% honest, this feels just like last year.
Yeah, that first game was awful last year.
Nobody played last year in that first game. Not a single person. So what are you expecting, by the way, Tobin? Game number 2 to be like the soft dress rehearsal, or game number 3?
I always think it's game number 3 because they had that extra week. So I feel like, and they got the joint practices next week, I believe, too. So they're going to use that as like the barometer, you know, for next week. But I think then the final week they'll do like a little dress rehearsal. But
wasn't last year, wasn't it game number 2 though? Because remember, they played Houston week 2 of the preseason, and Tua came out, threw that first pass and interception in Houston, and then had that unbelievable drive to follow it up. And the Dolphins ended up scoring like 28 points in that game.
You might be right. I've maybe erased it from my memory, but you might be right on that. But yeah, man, that's bummer. No Chop Robinson tonight? What the hell?
Yeah.
What's up with that? I don't like it, dude.
Well, he's not hurt. Like, he was
Finn Fabric says no Chop might be a good thing. Maybe he's showing them enough. I guess that's fair. Well, this is the one thing you could say, right? Like, maybe they're at the point where it's a risk reward thing, right? Like, you already are going into this year with Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb hurt. You really can't afford to lose Chop Robinson.
No, you cannot.
So,
but you also you kind of have to know what you have, right, Tobin? I'm with you. You slow play it anyways, because hey, it's one of your only options. So yes, but at the same time, I mean, your only option needs reps, needs game action, and you kind of want to know exactly how much you can rely on him, no?
Yeah, but I'm sure he'll get it another time. And then Dolph Van Dam makes a good point where he says there were hands thrown. He was in the middle of some fisticuffs. Maybe they're like a little worried there's some retaliation that could be on the horizon. I don't know. Yeah. I'd say more so it's just to protect on the injury, but it definitely takes the wind out of the sails for tonight a little bit. Really a bummer. That's who I was like, who am I most excited to see tonight? Oh, Chop Robinson. Nope.
Right.
Sorry.
Hey, did you say Jalen Wright is out also?
No, I don't think I did. I think he's out. I think he's playing. And I think Malik Washington's going to be playing.
Yeah.
Patrick Paul, I think, is going to be playing. So you'll get most of your rookie class, but the 2 pass rushers they're not putting out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me look over one more time. Tua, H.N. Mustert. No, Achman's a little surprising. I don't know if he's banged up or not.
Yeah, he is banged up. He's a little banged up.
Okay, so that explains that. No tight ends. I guess it's the Tanner Connor show and Jordy Forston.
Yeah, Jordy Forston.
Oof. All right. Football's back, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Football is back, ladies and gentlemen.
Tanner Connor season, baby. Can't wait.
Yeah. Now we got it. Yeah, Calais Campbell, Ogba, Zach Sealer, Tier Tart, Chop Robinson.
No Aaron Brewer either. I guess that does make sense though, Tobin. First of all, he's injured, right? His hand. But second of all, Tua's not playing anyways. Like, what do we care how he can snap the ball to the backups? Like, when Tua plays, I want to see my starting center. That's about it.
I'm not, like I said, I'm not disappointed about anybody who's sitting other than not seeing the first round pick, but I get it. If you do take it back, Finval is Agba playing. No, Agba is apparently he is out. I'll give you the list one more time. Campbell, Calais Campbell, Manuel Agba, Zach Sealer, Tierre Tart, Chop Robinson, Anthony Walker, Mohamed Kamara, David Long, Jordan Brooks, Kendall Fuller, Jalen Ramsey, Javon Holland, Jordan Poyer, Cam Smith, Kader Kohu. They are not suited up, and that is from the Palm Beach Post. Joe Shat. Oof. All right.
Hey, what's on the menu? What's on the menu for the Tobins tonight? I know you said you have Sour Patch Kids ready to go, but
I was just thinking that, dude. I've literally been sitting in this chair for the last 8 hours with one little break. So I don't know. I would like to get some yummy grub.
Okay. Because you grill. Like, I know you do the barbecue talks every now and then.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure, like, preseason game number 1.
Nah.
You got a couple
I think
T-bones ready to go. Like,
I definitely do not. I definitely do not. I don't know what I'm gonna do because my kids are all out at the movies with my wife, and so they're, I'm sure, gonna be out for dinner. So this may be a lonely delivery tonight. A lonely delivery to the household. As I sit in front of my couch and get ready for a little Dolphins football. By the way, I want to give one shout out before we get out of here. This was announced this week, but Tim Bowens, Ring of Honor for Timbo. That was Goosey's, dude. I was so happy for him. We haven't had a Ring of Honor guy in a while. I was always wondering, like, who is going to be the next guy, and I always felt like with Tim Bowens, I was like, are they going to put him up there because it's kind of already been that era? I felt like he would have been up already. But
it's been 20 years since he retired.
Yeah. So very happy for him. I don't know if I was as happy as Zach Thomas was, because I think Zach Thomas was happier for Tim Bowens than Tim Bowens was for Tim Bowens.
It's crazy, right?
He loves Tim Bowens.
Crazy. If it gets the ZT seal of approval, I feel like nobody should have any issues with it. Like, if Zach was that hyped up and that emotional about it, like it's kind of weird that it took this long for it to actually come to fruition.
Yeah, it's a cool thing. I don't know who will be next after Tim Bowens, if it'll be like the likes of a Cam Wake or whomever, but it was cool to see. It's been too long since they've thrown somebody up there, and it was pretty awesome. And I liked his whole thought about the bullies thing, where he goes like, well, like, what would you say to that? He goes, I wouldn't say anything. I would just go out there and be a bully. I'm like, yeah, you would, because you're Timbo. That's what Timbo would do.
That's right.
Timbo would go out there and he'd take somebody's lunch money. That's what he would do.
You think he can still give you a couple reps, couple snaps tonight if he wanted to throw on the old pads?
I don't know, man. I don't know. He didn't sound like it. He didn't sound like it. He's like, oh yeah, he's like, I just had beer after the game. He's like, he was old school.
Yeah,
doing this hyperbaric chamber nonsense. He's just being a man's man. That's what Tim Bowens was doing.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. That is our show today. Game Day Uncensored is back. We will be back next Saturday to get you ready for the Dolphins' second preseason game. Again, if you guys are looking for coverage tonight after the game, we highly recommend listening to our boy Dan Day. Dan, will you be on video stream as well, or are you just doing radio? Where can the people find you for tonight?
Yeah, I'm following your lead. Catch us on social media. I have all the links up, and we're going to be right here, Game Day Uncensored postgame on the Twitch, the YouTube, Odyssey app, 560 WQAM.
There you go.
Just yell my name, and I'll come.
Hey, Dan, starting a couple minutes before the game ends, too, right? I think
that is correct.
That's important. Like, a couple minutes left in the game.
Yeah, because you guys are going to be watching that fourth quarter. Let's be honest. You're going to be watching Dan Day. You're not going to be watching that fourth quarter.
Right.
Maybe if you're leaving the stadium early and, you don't want to have to listen to a bunch of nobodies do nothing, you go ahead and listen to us, and we'll kind of get you going, get your juices flowing on the way home and get your weekend started right.
Sounds good, Dan. All right. Appreciate you running things for us today. Solana, great to be back here with you and looking forward to another exciting Dolphins season. Everybody enjoy your preseason football tonight, Dolphins and Falcons. And we'll talk to you guys, Game Day Uncensored, next week to get you ready for the next one. Talk to you next time.
And that's the preseason week 1 edition of Game Day Uncensored. We'll be